The opinions and views expressed in the following program are those of the speakers and the host, and do not necessarily reflect those of Yoakley Scott Corporation and your sports network.
Yeah, I've been closer to Jesus before, so can you help me out? Oh, can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Am I on my own? Am I on my own? Or can you help me out? Can you help me out? Scared to look at my soul. I've been afraid I would follow alone. Yeah, afraid of the things I've been told.
Welcome into a Monday edition of Running Point on ysnlive.com. Ron Potesta with you. For the next 3 hours, we're going to be chit-chatting all kinds of sports, locally and otherwise. This program brought to you, as always, by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a new or slightly used automobile, do check out the good folks at Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. They got a great sales department, fantastic finance department, and a really good service department. And let's face it, you need all three of those to have a great dealership, and that's exactly what Greenwood Chevrolet has. They have all three. That's what makes them a really, really good alternative if you're looking for a brand new or slightly used automobile. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. So I'm sure a lot of us were all watching in awe last night. Well, you can, as a Steeler fan, you might be looking at it in disgust. Browns fans are looking at this, and in the words of Al Michaels, no, Cleveland, you're not dreaming. What a start. What a horrible start for the Steelers. And the snowball began with the snap that went right over the head of Roethlisberger from arguably the best center in the National Football League, and it just snowballed from there. And you thought 28-0, okay, this Browns are in really, really good shape. Then the Steelers started waking up, and they got the deficit down to 12. And then if you're a Browns fan, you're like, okay, we've seen how this story ends, and I don't want to see this. But give credit where credit's due. Browns got the job done. Browns absolutely got the job done. They were the fresher team. They were the team that wanted it more, and this is just really, really weird how the entire week transpired. Do yourself a favor. If you are into reading really good, I mean really, really good columns, you got to check out Peter King's Football Morning in America. He has a day-by-day detailed look at what exactly the Browns dealt with this past week. Just an amazing account by Peter King, who continues to be one of the best, if not the best, football journalists out there. Just an absolutely unbelievable weekend of football. And it occurred to me, as Cleveland is celebrating, this is the 34th anniversary of the drive. And here we are, 34 years later, and Browns fans are celebrating what may very well be the biggest playoff victory in, it is. It's the only playoff victory in the history of Cleveland Browns football, Part 2, the sequel, circa 1999. This is the only playoff victory. This was unbelievable last night. And now the Browns go into Kansas City. Now, as a Bills fan, I got to be honest. Listen, I'm always honest. Got to be honest. A part of me did not want to see the Browns win last night. Listen, I'll be honest. Look, I mean, you have your allegiances and whatnot. Look, I mean, as a Bills fan, you're looking at this and you're like, okay, the easier path, if there is such a thing, you let the Ravens and the Chiefs bang the hell out of each other in Arrowhead, and the Bills take the Steelers. It's the easier path. Well, the Browns kind of threw a monkey wrench into that. And that's okay. Hey, listen, that's okay. You got a tougher path. Ravens come to Buffalo. Oof. Man, that's going to be a tough game. That's going to be a really, really tough game. Saturday night, Orchard Park. Preliminary forecast, a lot of snow. And that might be the saving grace for Buffalo. We'll see. Sunday afternoon, the Browns go into Kansas City. It got me to thinking, has anyone looked at what is left in the postseason and the stark differences in each conference? Here's what I mean. Go to the AFC. You have 4 of the best young quarterbacks. The new generation of quarterbacks in the National Football League. You have 4 of the best that are left. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, Baker Mayfield, Patrick Mahomes. 4 of the best under 25, 4 of the best new generation quarterbacks out there in the National Football League. And then you look over at the NFC. Now, look, Jared Goff is, he's the guy that's left out of this picture for a second. Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Tom Brady. And when all 3 of these guys, when it's all said and done, all 3 of these guys are going to be considered first ballot Hall of Famers. All 3 of these guys are going to be considered one of the greatest to ever play the game. You can make an argument. Brees, Rodgers, Brady, all 3 of these guys have an argument, a few more than others, at being a top 10 all-time great in their position. Now, Brady's probably a top 3. Some people would call him the GOAT. I kind of disagree with that. Neither here nor there. He's an all-time great. There's no two ways about that. Aaron Rodgers, no doubt in my mind, he is a top 10 quarterback. Drew Brees, no doubt in my mind, he is a top 10 quarterback of all time. You have the old guard in the NFC. And I think Green Bay takes care of the Rams. So you're going to have an old guard NFC championship versus the newcomers, the young Bucks. And it doesn't matter who plays in the AFC title game. All 4 of these guys, all 4 of these teams, I should say, are quarterbacked by a guy who is 25 years or under. I think Allen's 24, Mayfield is 24, Lamar Jackson and Mahomes are 25. Damn. It's a stark contrast. And it's going to make the Super Bowl old guard versus the newbie. And even if Kansas City gets in as the defending Super Bowl champions, you still are going to have the sense of, even though Mahomes has done it, he's still a newbie. He's 25. He's still a newbie. Yes, he's already won a Super Bowl champion. He's already won a ring, but he's still a newbie. He's 25 years of age. Compared to Brees, Brady, or Rodgers, it's old guard versus new guard. That's going to be your Super Bowl. Unless the Los Angeles Rams come out of nowhere and upset Green Bay and then take out the winner of New Orleans and Tampa Bay, which I kind of don't think so, even though I'm going to be honest. And maybe it's about time a lot of people start saying this. Aaron Donald might be the greatest defensive tackle in the history of the National Football League. Holy crap, can this guy play? I mean, I've been fortunate, and with age comes an awful lot of watching great football back in the day. I saw Joe Green in his prime. I saw Warren Sapp in his prime. I saw a lot of really good defensive tackles. I'll put Aaron Donald up against any of them. My God, can this guy play? Woof. Anyway, what a great weekend of football in the National Football League, and if you're a Buckeyes fan, oh my goodness, the very much anticipated daily double. Who'd have thought the Browns knock off the Steelers without their coach, without Bitonio, without Denzel Ward? You're going with a guy named Blake, who had to come into the ball game because the backup to Bitonio got hurt. And here's this guy signed off the practice waivers from the New York Jets, and he had to drive to Cleveland. Otherwise, had he flown to Cleveland, he would have not been eligible to play the game because he would have had to sit out and quarantine himself for a week. So he had to drive 400 and plus miles from Jersey to Ohio, thinking, okay, he's probably not going to play, but we're going to activate him anyway. And, oh, by the way, you got to play 15, 20 snaps because the backup to Bitonio, yeah, he got hurt during this game. And now a guy that Baker Mayfield just basically introduced himself to in the locker room before the game because, oh, by the way, the Browns didn't have any practices and they were doing a lot of Zoom meetings and a lot of walkthrough via Zoom meetings. What a crazy, crazy week for the Browns. You couldn't have scripted this. I mean, Hollywood would have looked at this and said, get the hell out of here. This can't happen. And it did. And if you're a Browns fan and you're a Buckeyes fan, okay, first of all, number one, you've probably had no sleep. Pretty understandable. Number two, get ready for another game because your Buckeyes are playing for the national championship tonight against Alabama in Miami. Man, I talked about this last week. If you had your choice between Buckeyes winning or Browns winning, most of Ohio would have sat back and said, you know what, give me the Buckeyes. Just give me the Buckeyes because it wouldn't have been close. Well, you have an opportunity now for what the beginning of the year, I would look back and say, okay, you're going to tell me the Buckeyes are going to win the national championship, and you're going to tell me not only do the Browns get into the playoffs, they beat Pittsburgh in Pittsburgh, and this happens in the span of 24 hours? No. Hell no. That can't happen. Well, we're on the precipice of it happening, kids. Wow. Who'd have thought? Who'd have thought? All right, MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. Friend of the show, Aditi Kinkhabwala from the NFL Network. She had this gem after the Browns victory. And this is interesting. This is a very interesting statistic. And we talked a little bit about this last week, whether or not the Steelers should be sitting Ben Roethlisberger. According to Aditi Kinkhabwala from the NFL Network, yesterday was the 5th time that Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger took Week 17 off before the playoffs, actually last week. Coming into yesterday's game, when he's rested in Week 17, Ben Roethlisberger in the postseason has thrown 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions, and has 0 Super Bowl wins. This is when Ben Roethlisberger takes Week 17 off before the playoffs. When he played in Week 17, Roethlisberger, 17 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, 2 Super Bowl titles. Now, obviously 17 touchdowns, 11 picks, a little bit better than 13 touchdowns, 13 interceptions. I'm really 24 picks in the postseason. That's a lot of interceptions. But 17 touchdown passes, 11 picks, and 2 Super Bowl wins when Roethlisberger plays in the final regular season game. He did not play in the final regular season game. Obviously, Coach Tomlin decided that he would rest Roethlisberger and a couple of other players. I don't know if it's going to come back to I don't know if that alone was the reason why all of this came back to bite the Steelers. Honestly, I don't know. But I think it's interesting that when he's rested, no Super Bowl titles, 13 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions. So that was an interesting statistic that was thrown about. The other thing, Steelers led the NFL in sacks 4 straight years. They had a sack in 73 straight games going into last night. Last night, home playoff game. Browns are missing Joel Bitonio, the anchor of that offensive line. And then his backup went down. And yet a third stringer who, until a week ago, a little over a week ago, was on the New York Jets practice roster. And they couldn't get to Mayfield. No sacks. And if you want the besides the very fast start that the Browns got, courtesy of Pittsburgh's turnovers and whatnot, the fact that Mayfield wasn't sacked and the fact that the Browns were able to do what they wanted to do in terms of running the football, and they kept Mayfield's jersey clean, there's the difference. Now we move on. Can Cleveland somehow, some way, pull off another miracle in beating the Kansas City Chiefs? And I'll be honest with you, it's daunting. It's going to be a daunting task. There's no two ways about that. It's going to be a daunting task. However, it's not out of the realm of possibility. What Cleveland is going to have to do is cut the possessions of the Kansas City Chiefs' high-powered offense to maximum 8 possessions. They cannot have more than 8 possessions. If they do, I think Kansas City beats Cleveland. The more possessions Kansas City has offensively, the worse beating the Browns get after 8 possessions. Normal NFL game, you're looking at somewhere between 10 to 12 possessions, probably on the higher side, closer to 12. If the Browns can somehow, some way cut that to 6 or 7 possessions, and by doing that, you have to hang on to the ball for 5-6 minutes at a time. Grind the clock. Get some points. If they're able to do that, they have a really good chance at beating Kansas City. But doing that that's the $1 million question. Are they able to do that? You're going to have an unbelievable output by Chubb and Hunt, and Mayfield's going to continue to have to take care of the ball, manage the game, don't make any mistakes. He hasn't made any in quite a while. They have a shot. If they can limit the amount of possessions that Kansas City has, they have a shot. Now, the other thing that needs to happen, you're going to have to get someone to put pressure on Mahomes. Linebackers are going to have to set the edge, but somebody up front. And obviously, Myles Garrett was double-teamed all night. I mean, look, I caught grief for saying that through 3 quarters, all-world defensive end Myles Garrett had 0 sacks and 1 tackle. Of course he was double-teamed. I'm not blind. I saw that. The point is, he still only had 1 tackle and 0 sacks. Now, here's the other point in this. If Kansas City's going to double-team Myles Garrett, somebody has to step up to the plate and put some pressure on Patrick Mahomes. Somebody has to do that. especially if Garrett's getting double teamed. Here's the rub. Assuming that Garrett is going to be going up against the left tackle, which is a pretty good assumption, the right tackle is former Brown Mitchell Schwartz. He's elite. Whoever the pass rusher is, because you're not going to have Olivier Vernon. If it's one-on-one coverage, you're going to have to be able to beat Mitchell Schwartz to put some heat on Mahomes. And if you can get heat on Mahomes up the middle and have your linebackers set the edge and box Mahomes in, okay, you have a shot. But if they're going to, if Garrett's not going to get the job done, but they double team Myles Garrett and let someone else get the job done, then somebody has to put heat on Patrick Mahomes. Otherwise, you have no shot at getting past Kansas City. Look, figure on the Chiefs scoring 75% of the time. In an 8-possession game, that means they're going to score 6 out of 8 times. And figure 4 of those 6 are going to be touchdowns. You're looking at 34 points. Now put that in a 6-possession game. They're going to score half of the time? 2/3 of the time. That's 4. 3 touchdowns and a field goal, that's 24 points. Browns can put up more than 24 points. Brown, especially against that Kansas City defense, Browns can put up more than 24 points. But that's 6 possessions. You figure Kansas City scores on 2/3 of the possessions, 4 out of 6, and 3 out of 4 are touchdowns. That's 24 points in 6 possessions. Now, if the Browns get the ball 7 times, 6 times, 7 times, you're going to have to put touchdowns on the board while taking a whole lot of time off the clock. This is an uphill battle. And make no mistake about it, listen. It's not just the Browns that are in an uphill battle. It would not surprise me in any way, shape, or form if you're looking at a Ravens-Chiefs AFC Championship game. It wouldn't surprise me in the least. Would not surprise me in the least. But it's going to be an awful lot of fun to see that. And I just think from the standpoint of the AFC has the young guard, the young kids, all 4 of these quarterbacks, 25 years of age and younger. And the NFC, 3 of the 4 are guys that are destined to go to Canton. 3 of the greatest quarterbacks of all time. And they're in the NFC divisional playoffs. This is going to be so much fun. Just a whole bunch of fun. All right, 330-886-0813. Closer to home. Lots of high school basketball over the weekend. And plenty more high school basketball as we turn it up this week. I know I'm going to be, Larry Scragg and I, we're going to be at Rebels Gymnasium on tonight. We're going to be at Rebels Gymnasium tonight. Crestview, I believe they're playing LeBray, the Vikings. I believe they are. They lost on Saturday. No, they're playing Liberty. What are you thinking? They played LeBray on Saturday, and the Vikings were able to knock off Crestview on Saturday. The Lady Rebels are going to be playing Liberty tonight, and Liberty's off to a pretty good start too. So this should be pretty interesting. The Rebels were not able to play against Newton Falls for whatever reason. They were supposed to have played Newton Falls on Thursday and Friday. The girls were to have played Newton Falls on Thursday. The guys were to have played Newton Falls on Friday up in Newton Falls. Both of those games were postponed. Saturday, the Crestview girls lost up in Leavittsburg against LeBray. Today, they will be taking on Liberty. Liberty today. The boys will play Liberty on Tuesday. So those are 2 games that Larry Scragg and I will be doing. And then on Friday, on Thursday, the Lady Rebels will be taking on Brookfield. Friday, the Brookfield boys will play Crestview. And then on Saturday, Western Reserve girls come into Crestview to take on the Lady Rebels. So Larry and I are going to be busy with basketball tonight, tomorrow night, Thursday, Friday, and early Saturday afternoon, which is good because after the game, I got a date with the city of Buffalo. So 5 days of basketball as the boys and girls will be taking on Liberty tonight and tomorrow night, Brookfield on Thursday and Friday nights, and then the Crestview girls will be taking on the Western Reserve girls on Saturday afternoon. So lots of basketball for yours truly and Larry Scragg for sure. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll start talking a little high school hoops if you wish. If you want to jump in and talk about the NFL wildcard weekend, you can certainly do that as well. I'm curious if anyone watched Nickelodeon on Sunday afternoon. I did not. I didn't watch any of the Nickelodeon broadcast. Other than it's a genius idea of the National Football League to get the kids involved and to have Nickelodeon be part of the NFL broadcast. Now, obviously, they didn't take it too seriously. And they had slime in the end zone. On the television screen they did, not in the real stadium, but on the television screen they had slime. Although at the end of the game, in the Saints locker room, apparently the Saints head coach wanted to get into the action, so he allowed the Nickelodeon folks to slime him. They had the fluorescent green slime that they put on him after the game. Kind of a ceremonial like Gatorade, except it wasn't Gatorade. It was, quote, slime. So I didn't see any of it. I heard it was really cool. Look, at the end of the day, it's a genius marketing move by the National Football League because it's going to get the young kids involved in football. And why Major League Baseball hasn't done this yet is beyond me. Yet another reason why one league is marketed very well and the other league is still thinking that it's 1950 something and that they have the greatest game or the greatest fans and the monopoly or not, a monopoly of fans in their sport, which is the furthest thing from the truth, unfortunately. All right, 330-886-0813. We'll take a timeout, be back with more. It is a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
21 News.
Let's get right to our top story tonight.
More experienced reporters.
A new Wilmington restaurant.
GM Lordstown.
Telling more local stories.
We'll look at
Baby boy is recovering from a broken.
Around our valley.
Community in Niles. We are here in Youngstown, right up.
Because you expect.
It's important for everyone. No place like home.
More local news.
In Mercer County
Before
Court.
they become life threatening.
21 News is our valley's #1 local news.
Welcome home to a home made homier with Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods. Inspiration starts at BairdBrothers.com and is turned into reality when high-quality hardwoods are delivered right to your home. Baird Brothers has the latest design trends, shiplap and skinny lap interior siding, antique oak rustic flooring, and, well, you'll find them all at BairdBrothers.com. Ordered easily, delivered conveniently, enjoyed comfortably. BairdBrothers.com.
Attention football fans, order Coca's Pizza tailgate package for only $54.99. You'll receive 24 slices of our delicious cheese pizza, 20 jumbo wings, and 2 of our famous foot-long pepperoni rolls. Coca's Pizza, we serve it hot.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions. WRS Insurance Solutions is a local independent agency that specializes in life, Medicare, long-term care, and disability products. Call us at 330-953-3722 or visit us at wrsinsuranceSolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Your Armstrong services are more important than ever. There are more and more connected devices in the home these days. To get the most out of your experience, you need a network that is always getting better. You deserve superior performance, and that's what Armstrong offers every day. Whether you're working from home, enjoying your favorite content together, or simply catching up while apart, count on Armstrong to keep you connected to what matters most.
To Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years. I think whenever we go there, whatever car we're looking for, they have tremendous inventory.
If you're looking for people who care about you, Greenwood is the place to go.
You know, it's like family there. The girls know me in service. It's Miss Kim in the Tahoe.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
For heating, cooling, and indoor air quality, the Mahoning Valley trusts MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning, offering worry-free repair, service, and installation. Call MP Vivo today for a free estimate.
MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. We're your energy-efficient experts.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. All right, over the weekend, plenty of basketball that was played. And I'll tell you what, kudos to some of these Trumbull County schools that have already gotten some serious games in. Here's a classic example, the LeBray boys. Shout out to them. They played their 5th game of the season and 3rd conference game on Saturday, a 65-52 victory over Campbell. LeBray is 4-1, 3-0 in the league. This is a team that 5 games in. Okay, now you got 6 weeks left before the tournament start. So you figure you play 2 games a week. Times 6, that's 12, plus 5, that's 17. Look, LeBray will probably play 3 games in some of those 6 weeks. I'm not going to say that they're going to finish out with 22 regular season games, but they're definitely going to be playing a good amount of games. And keep in mind, all of the Trumbull County schools, they were shut down for most, if not all, of December. So kudos to LeBray for getting 5 games in already. Plenty of teams have been working as hard as they can to get as many games in as possible. You saw Saturday games involving boys basketball. South Range knocking off Hubbard, Mineral Ridge beating Lowellville, and LeBray upending Campbell. You had plenty of girls' games. You saw LeBray knock off Crestview on Saturday. Boardman knocked off Fitch. Girard got their 3rd game of the season in. They beat Struthers 47-41. Now, keep in mind, the girls only have 5 weeks. They're always 1 week ahead of the guys. So the girls are 1 week ahead. They've got 5 weeks before the tournament start. If you're Girard, you got 3 games in. Okay, over the next 5 weeks, can the Girard Indians play 15 games? Well, that's 3 games a week. Are you able to do that? No, I'm sure they could probably squeeze in 3 games a week on average. Liberty knocked off Newton Falls 66-46. West Branch got their 10th victory of the season. West Branch is in really good shape. The Warriors girls basketball team, they've played 13 games, so they're in really good shape. You got 5 weeks left in the season, 9 games. You don't necessarily have to play 2 games a week. You probably won't. There's going to be times where West Branch, they only get in 1 game. during the course of the week. But we'll see what happens there. The Poland girls knocked off Struthers 47-41, so a good victory by the Poland girls. And Girard knocked off Struthers. My bad. Girard knocked off Struthers 47-41. So a good victory by the Girard girls. Jefferson beat Hubbard, and like I said, there's going to be a lot of games that are going to be played all through this week and the remaining 5 weeks for the girls, the remaining 6 weeks for the guys. There's going to be a lot of basketball played, a lot of wrestling matches, just a lot of winter sports that will be taking place, especially from the Trumbull County schools, being that they're behind the 8 ball right now, and that's the way it should be. That's definitely the way it should be. Youngstown State, congratulations to the YSU women. They got a victory on Saturday, late Saturday afternoon, early Saturday night. They knocked off Oakland. They get their first victory of the season. YSU, the first 3 games that they had played this year, they weren't doing a very good job of taking care of the basketball. They were turning the ball over an awful lot. I think in the 2 losses against Wright State, they averaged like 19.5 turnovers. It was 39 turnovers in that weekend. They turned the ball over 20-plus times in the first game against Oakland in the loss. They only turned the ball over 12 times in the victory on Saturday. And, you take care of the basketball, and good things will happen. Take the ball to the basket, and good things will happen. Establish the inside game, and then use your perimeter game as a good inside-outside weapon. Really good things are going to happen. And it was good to see Youngstown State get the victory on Saturday. John Barnes Club, they definitely needed that. And I think the women can start taking off here. I think the women have an opportunity. They're going to be playing. Their next 2 opponents are not doing well in the Horizon League this year. And it's an opportunity, even though the next 2 games are going to be on the road, it's definitely an opportunity for the YSU women to start going on a roll here. As for the men, we said YSU men needed a split in the worst way, and they got the split. They got the victory on national television on Friday nights, and I'll be honest, I was able to watch that game. The YSU women had played their game late Friday afternoon into early evening, and I was able to get home and watch much of the game while listening to Rob Schmidt. Now, unfortunately, I was not able to sync my TV to Rob's play-by-play. Rob's play-by-play was a couple of seconds ahead of the TV. And, I'm always one of these people that loves to see what's going on up to date instead of waiting to see something on a screen that's, 10, 15, 20 seconds behind what is on the radio. So, yeah, I'm one of those people. And some of my friends will, a lot of my friends will say that I can be someone that has something near me that is going to give me up-to-date stuff instead of watching something that's 10, 15, 20 seconds behind. I mean, it's just, I know it's a quirk, and I'm full of them, but I wanted to know what was going on. So, obviously, when Naz Bohannon hit Garrett Covington with a perfect pass, Covington wide open, his bunny beats the buzzer, and YSU upsets Wright State. I'm listening to this, and Rob Schmidt with an exceptional call of the finish of the game, as he always does. And I'm listening to it, and I'm celebrating, and, then I'm seeing it 4 or 5 seconds later on the TV. And the first thing was, okay, is this basket going to count? And then when you see it on TV, there's no 2 ways about it. The ball was off the backboard when the buzzer sounded. And in the college and pro arenas, basketball courts and arenas, the horn also lights up the backboards on both hoops. So in a college and a pro environment, the basketball hoop on either side, it lights up when the horn sounds, for those that didn't know this. And Bohannon not only had the ball well out of his hand, the ball went off the backboard as the backboard was lighting up, and obviously it went right into the basket. It was a perfect pass from Bohannon to Covington, and all Covington had to do was beat the clock, and he did without any question. And the celebration was on. YSU needed at least a split. They got the split. Look, Wright State, they were angry on Saturday, and they played a really, really good basketball game. I mean, they needed that game on Saturday every bit as much as Youngstown State did, because, you know, Cleveland State had been off to such a great start. You don't want to be 2 games in back of Cleveland State. Wright State really played well on Saturday, but the mission was accomplished for the Penguins. Now, here's the thing. Youngstown State is taking on a very beatable Oakland team this weekend. Very, very, very beatable Oakland team this weekend. Now, the Penguins are 3-5 in the Horizon League. Cleveland State is off to an 8-0 start. The Vikings are playing some unbelievable basketball. 8-0 in the Horizon League. Milwaukee is in second place at 4-1. Wright State is 6-2. They're 2 games in back of Cleveland State. Robert Morris is 2-1. Northern Kentucky is 3-3. Illinois, Chicago, UIC 2-2. The Penguins are 3-5. Purdue, Fort Wayne is 3-5. Green Bay is 3-5. Oakland is 3-5. IUPUI and Detroit are both 0-4. Penguins have an opportunity if they can put it on Oakland. Now, Oakland is 3-5, 3-12 overall. Penguins are 3-5, 6-5 overall. If the Penguins can put it on Oakland and beat Oakland twice in the O-Arena, you're looking at a 5-5 record. The last 5 games, or the last 5 opponents, are going to encompass 8 out of 10 games at Beagley. And they're going to go up against teams that are not very good. Teams that are very beatable. One of the things that Youngstown State, one of the things that, you know, and we spoke with Rob Schmidt about this, one of the things about the first 10 games of this season, where 8 of the first 10 games of the season were played on the road, you had to get out of that 10 games with a 5-5 record. If you could get out of that 10 games with a 5-5 record, and then you go into the final 10 games of the season where 8 of the 10 games are going to be played at Beagley, Penguins could very well finish the Horizon League season 13-7. It's not out of the realm of possibility. Now, obviously, they're going to have to take 2 in a row over Oakland for that to happen. I mean, if you win 8 of your final 10, let's say they split with Oakland, all right, now you're looking at 9 out of your last 12. 12 wins, 8 losses. 12-8's not going to get you into the top 4. But if you're playing really, really good basketball going into the tournament, that's all that matters. I don't know what in the world, honest to God, what Cleveland State is doing right now is absolutely incredible. And here's who they have left. They have Milwaukee in Cleveland, Green Bay in Cleveland. They go to Oakland, Detroit in Cleveland, and Purdue-Fort Wayne on the road. Cleveland State University. Cleveland State University. My goodness. This team might very well now win the Horizon League because they're off to an 8-0 start. All right, Milwaukee's 4-1. Green Bay is 3-5. Who do they got? Purdue-Fort Wayne, they're 3-5. Oakland is 3-5. Detroit's 0-4. Cleveland might win. Cleveland State might win the Horizon League this year because of the unbelievable start that the Vikings have had. And again, let's see, the Vikings, they opened up at Purdue-Fort Wayne, played Youngstown State at home, at IUPUI, Northern Kentucky at home. Okay, let me take that back. They have Wright State on their schedule. This is going to be big. They're at the Nutter Center on Friday and Saturday. And for Cleveland State, they're 2 games up on Wright State. Now, if Wright State wants to get back into this, they got to beat Cleveland State 2 times. They beat Cleveland State 2 times. Okay, now this division can start getting back into Wright State's territory. If Cleveland State splits with Wright State, this conference might very well go to the Cleveland State Vikings. Unbelievable. Yeah, Cleveland State's had an unbelievable, just an unbelievable conference record. They're 0-3 outside of the conference, but they're 8-0 in the Horizon League. Absolutely incredible. And for the Penguins, again, 3-5. And keep in mind, they played this weekend without the services of one Darius Quisenberry, who's resting that ankle injury. The fact that YSU was able to beat Wright State in Dayton without Darius Quisenberry, it's a good team. It just, they have to start, they just have to start playing 40 minutes of solid basketball. And it's going to be interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see what happens. I think both Youngstown State men and women, the schedule is such where they could very well get on a roll here pretty quickly. The schedule is such. All right, let's get to the phone lines real quick. MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Let's go to it. Hey, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up? That's you. What's up? Uh-oh. Now they hung up. All right, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's going on?
Ronnie, what's going on, buddy?
What's up, brother?
Hey, man, just calling in to talk about my Browns, your Bills. You know, last night, I've never been so happy in my life, man. I mean, we finally got the monkey off our back. Watching that game, it was crazy because, 28-0 out of the gate, and I'm getting texts galore like I'm a celebrity from all the Steeler fans saying, congratulations, Ben's done, blah, blah, blah. And I'm saying, listen, this game is far from over. Cleveland has saw this before, and, they cut it to 12. And I'm saying, I'm texting all my Browns fans, and I'm like, please, God, please, this can't happen again to us. Nonetheless, we pulled it out. I thought the defense looked good early on. Offense looked really good. Baker's been just, doing his thing of late. With having no offensive linemen or half of them gone or whatnot, and your head coach, that's a pretty good showing. And I just wanted to get your thoughts on that. And say congratulations to you on the Bills. Well, I actually picked them to win that game.
Listen, Buffalo was outplayed. They were outplayed on Saturday.
But you got the W.
Absolutely.
That's all that matters.
Absolutely. And you know what? Somebody looked at me and said, hey, that wasn't really an impressive showing by the Bills. I said, you know what? You're right. And I'll take 3 more of those just like this game. I'll probably have to wear a heart monitor by the end of the season. But if the Bills hoist the Super Bowl trophy, and they look ugly in the rest of their postseason games, but they win, I don't care if they look ugly. It's a win is a win is a win. Now, did they look good against Indy? Hell no, they didn't. They were outplayed by Indy. They had no business beating Indy, but they beat Indy. They move on. Whether they can beat Baltimore or not, look, I'm as nervous about Baltimore as I was about Indianapolis for different reasons. The encouraging thing for Buffalo is Saturday night there's supposed to be a lot of snow in Orchard Park, and that will most definitely slow down Lamar Jackson.
Well, let's be honest with each other. I mean, to me, and I think a lot of people feel this way, I think any one of these four teams left in the AFC, NFC can beat each other on any given Sunday. Now, call me crazy, and I'm not just saying this because I'm a Browns fan, because let me say this. I didn't think we were going to go into Heinz Field and win that game. I'm the biggest diehard fan, but I'm just a realist, as well. However, I feel like we match up with Kansas City a lot better. Now, if you let Mahomes get 6 every time they touch the ball, it's going to be hard to compete. But I feel with our run game, if we could keep it going and keep Mahomes off the field, that Cleveland could put up some points against his defense. What are your thoughts on that?
What the Browns need to do, and I talked about this in the beginning of the show, what the Browns need to do, in a normal NFL game, you're looking at 12 possessions for each team. What the Browns need to do is give Kansas City no more than 7 possessions. You get above 7 possessions, Browns' chances of beating Kansas City are next to nothing. They must limit the possessions. And how do you do that? Well, you have the ball, you hang on to the ball for about 6 or 7 minutes at a time. You use the legs of Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, who, by the way, is going to play with an attitude because, Kansas City dealt Kareem Hunt because they thought that, he was nothing but trouble, and they dealt him to Cleveland. So Kareem Hunt is going to have an attitude against his former teammate, and that's healthy. That's nothing wrong with that as long as he doesn't lose his mind and cost the Browns a couple of penalties. But if you have a strong running attack, Baker takes good care of the ball, hang on to the ball 5, 6, 7 minutes at a time, score points on most of your possessions, and we're talking touchdowns and not field goals, I think Cleveland has a damn good chance at beating Kansas City, but they have to be able to play keep away with Kansas City's high-powered offense.
Cleveland, Buffalo, AFC Championship. We could dream, right, Ronnie?
Oh, my God, I'd love to see it. And listen, I would be insufferable the entire week, but I'd be showering both teams with nothing but compliments, and it would be fun. And the beautiful thing is it would be in Orchard Park, and that would make it that much more fun. And if it were to happen, and it's a week-to-week thing, and my only thing is with Baltimore, but I hope and pray that if it is Buffalo and Cleveland, open the damn stadium up and let 70,000 people watch the game. And I don't care if it's 40,000 Buffalonians and 30,000 Cleveland people. Just open the damn stadium up if it is, in fact, for the AFC Championship game. But we have a mountain to climb. The Bills, the Browns, they each have a mountain to climb. And the attention should be on the Baltimore Ravens if you're a Bills fan, and the Kansas City Chiefs if you're a Browns fan, and you hope and pray that Buffalo and Cleveland both win this weekend.
That's right, man. Hey, I got the Buckeyes tonight. I'm hoping for 2 for 2. And Dog Pound, we're here, baby. The Browns aren't the Browns of the old.
Can you imagine if the Buckeyes knock off Alabama tonight in Miami?
Oh, my God.
The unthinkable. I mean, look, as far as I'm concerned, where are we? January the 11th. As far as I'm concerned, if Ohio State beats Alabama, given what happened yesterday, 2021, 11 days into 2021, it's already the greatest sports year in the history of Cleveland, Northeastern Ohio, and Ohio State Nation, period.
Yeah. I mean, I was thinking and saying the same thing to my buddies. It's just amazing the way this year's starting off for the Browns and the Buckeyes. I'm hoping. Listen, everyone's counting us out, and I like having that underdog role. I told you that last week, and I think the Browns are going to show up when they play Kansas City. I think Ohio State's going to show up tonight. And I think if Ohio State could run the ball and keep Mac Jones and them guys off the field, they might have a better chance than just throwing the ball all over the yard.
Get 45-plus points. You're going to need it. There are going to be a lot of points. I appreciate it, brother. There'll be a lot of points scored tonight. oh dear God, there's going to be a lot of points scored tonight. The over at the last I saw. Let me make sure the numbers are still right. The last I saw, the over/under in this game is 75. Is that right? 75. Buckeyes are an 8.5-point underdog, and the over/under in this game is 75. Immediately, I'm taking the over because both teams are going to score 40 points in this game. Ohio State will put up points against Alabama. Alabama will put up points against Ohio State. This is going to be back and forth. Defense is optional, and both teams are going to be just clobbering the other defense. I mean, it's going to be a very high-scoring affair in Miami. That is nothing certain in life, but that's a pretty big possibility that this game is well over 75 points between the two teams. I anticipate both teams in the 40s when it's all said and done. And look, I don't know if I would touch the 8.5-point spread because, again, a lot of people would bet with their heart instead of their head. If there's one variable on this game that I really like, it's the over. Can Ohio State beat Alabama? Absolutely they can. Will they? I've said all week last week that they wouldn't, but who knows? I mean, if their running game continues to do their stuff, if Sermon continues to do his thing, oh my Lord, pun intended, by the way. This could be fun. This could be an awful lot of fun. This could be a great sports night tonight. And again, if you're a Browns fan, chances are you're a Buckeye fan. If you're a Browns fan, and some of you Steeler fans, you're Buckeye fans, so you lick your wounds and hope for 1 for 2. If you're a Browns fan who happens to be a Buckeyes fan, you're going for the daily double. And I didn't think you'd have a daily double. Honestly, I didn't think you'd have a daily double. I gotta be honest. I didn't think the Browns could beat the Steelers. I think they had a chance, but with Stefanski out and everything that went wrong with the Browns, courtesy of COVID. And again, if you really want an interesting read, follow Peter King on Twitter. His Monday morning in America. Monday Football Morning in America is must read. And his column today has a detailed look back at this past week in everything that the Browns had to deal with leading up to last night's game against Pittsburgh. Unbelievable. First of all, it was unbelievable journalism at its absolute finest. Peter King, if he's not the GOAT in terms of football journalism, he's damn close. But that column and the details of what the Browns had to deal with that week leading up to the last night's game, absolutely incredible, and a great job by Peter King doing what he did. And he's just phenomenal at writing, and I just hope Peter King does it for another 30 or 40 years because nobody does it better than him. No two ways about that. All right, we're going to take a timeout. Dana Balish, 21 Sports Director, Around the Bend. We got plenty of high school basketball to talk about, and I'm sure that Dana is going to definitely want to speak up on what happened last night. Crazy game last night. We'll talk with the Dean of Sports, Television Sportscasters, Dana Balish, coming up in a bit. Stick around.
Hello, I'm Greg Burbick with G. Burbick Farms. For the last 100 years, my family has farmed in Columbiana and Mahoning counties. I began raising cattle in 1996 with the goal of providing a better product for you and your family on the dinner table. Our grass-fed and grain-supplemented Black Angus beef are raised with no hormones, steroids, or antibiotics. We're known for our hometown-friendly service and incredible tasting products. We're locally owned and have customers across the tri-state area. Our products go from our farm to your family. Stop by our farm on New Buffalo Road or visit us on the web at gburbickfarms.com. Don't forget to like us on Facebook. G. Burbick Farms, it just tastes better.
magazine. I'm feeling pretty good about myself, like I'm living the dream. Platform shoes, strut down the street. It's gonna get hot in here, I hope you can handle the heat.
Hi, this is Jim Myers with Myers Family Insurance, your local Medicare and retirement resource. We're excited to have sports back. Whether you're on the field or cheering from the stands, sports unifies communities and brings hope for the future. We're all one team working together. At Myers Family Insurance, we know the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is October 15th through December 7th. Now's the time to make sure your plan continues to meet your needs for the upcoming year.
Call today.
WRS Wealth Advisors, the area's premier wealth and retirement specialists. Located on South Avenue in Boardman.
And many, many thanks to WRS Wealth Advisors for allowing the listeners and viewers, to watch all of the boys and girls high school basketball games, as they made it a really, really nice donation to allow you, the fans, to watch all of the boys and girls high school basketball games at no charge this high school basketball season. Many, many thanks to WRS Wealth Advisors. All right, it's a little after 1 o'clock. It's Monday. It's time to bring in 21 News Sports Director Dana Balish, who appears on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Dana, how are you today, sir?
Doing fantastic today, Ron. How are you?
I'm doing well. I kind of thought that you would be fantastic. I'm sure it was a late night in Casa de Balish, but an interesting night to say the least. What were you thinking as the Browns got off to such a great start last night?
Well, the thing that first came to my mind reminded me of 1989 when Bud Carson was in his first game against the Steelers, and they pounded them 51-0. Last night was not as easy as that, but Mike Prefer in the acting head coach role. And let's face it, Ron, things just happen. Things happen right. The Browns have been on the other side of that so many times. The defense played really, really well. And again, I'm not saying this because the game's over, but I thought they had a chance. I thought they would, throw in the let's play this one for Kevin Stefanski and Joel Bitonio. And, I was expecting, Cody Parkey maybe to win it in the last few seconds or whatever, but nothing like that. But you know what? You move on to Kansas City. The Browns enjoyed it last night. I'm sure enjoy it today, but they'll get back to work. Stefanski, if everything stays as is, should be back with the team on Thursday. And, go to Kansas City where it's a completely different team, a completely different look. But I think Kareem Hunt is looking forward to this game. The last time they played, Ron, was in 2018. Kansas City won 37-21. Kareem Hunt for the Chiefs that day had 3 touchdowns against his hometown team.
Who's going to tell Stefanski that he has to stay in the basement? Because, let's be honest, Dana, there's a lot of superstitious people, and, well, the Browns won with Kevin Stefanski in the basement, so who's going to be the bright guy or girl to tell Stefanski, hey, by the way, you're not coaching this team anymore, you're down in the basement for the rest of the postseason?
Well, I don't think that will happen, but certainly, look, they were ready to play. They took advantage of the situation. They won the turnover margin. Yeah, Roethlisberger threw for 500 yards, but a lot of that was garbage, to be honest with you. The Browns were playing that, I don't want to call it a prevent, but it was almost a prevent that allowed the Steelers to creep back into it, But look, that was probably, and Ron, I'm old enough, you're old enough to remember the drive, the fumble, and all that stuff. As a matter of fact, today's 34th anniversary, of the drive. So I just think this, it's probably one of the biggest wins that they've had since the return in '99. And that seems so long ago.
It's interesting you bring that up. We brought it up about an hour ago, and 34 years ago today, I'm sitting in Cleveland Municipal Stadium, and it's probably still in the first quarter. Maybe the first quarter was just ending because the game was a 12:30 start. And I remember vividly sitting with Rich Carlos's mom and dad, sister, Kirk Loudermilk, his brother-in-law, a couple of friends of mine, and we're all sitting there at the stadium watching this game. And, it's It's interesting that, yesterday, I don't want to say that it washed away a lot of things because I don't think a playoff game, a wild card playoff game washes anything away, but it's certainly the biggest playoff and the only playoff win for the new look, second look Cleveland Browns circuit 1999. And maybe this is maybe this is wishful thinking, but Cleveland has a legitimate chance to beat Kansas City, but in order to do that, they're going to have to limit the Chiefs' possessions, and they're going to have to play keep away with a high-powered offense.
Well, and again, this is a case where, I think, excuse me, it's going to be a case of, you got to control the football, you got to run the football, you got to keep it away from Kansas City. And again, the Browns have the ingredients to do that. But can they do that? Will they be able to do that? That sort of thing. Certainly, we won't know that. I mean, Kansas City's coming off, an off week, and look, Ron, anything could happen. I mean, the Steelers probably should have played Roethlisberger and everyone last week to knock the Browns out of the playoffs, and they weren't able to do that. And Roethlisberger looked like a deer in headlights. And if you could do the same thing to Patrick Mahomes, that's a very, 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 very tall task. And certainly, we'll see what happens. But I'm sure Stefanski will have them ready to play.
Well, over the weekend, two teams that needed victory, the YSU men and the YSU women. YSU men on Friday night get a victory in front of a nationwide audience on ESPN2. They knock off Wright State in very impressive and dramatic fashion. Bohannon hitting a wide-open Garrett Covington in the paint. He puts up the shot that beats the buzzer. And then on Saturday night at Beagley, YSU women, who had not looked good in their first three games, finally got it together. Turnovers were limited, and they were able to find a way to knock off Oakland. So both the men and the women, they get a split, much-needed split for both the men and the women. And, Danny, you get the sense that both of these teams could get on a roll here pretty quickly.
Well, Ron, you got to keep in mind, and it's a good thing, I guess, is the men, beat Wright State without Darius Quisenberry, and it was reported he has an ankle injury and so on and so forth. I'm learning that it's more than an ankle injury. I'm learning there's some other things going on with Darius Quisenberry, and so those are some questions. You're not sure. I've been told various things. That Quisenberry may not be with the team anymore. I mean, we'll learn more about that later this week, I'm sure. But certainly, you play well Friday, then you come out Saturday and lay an egg.
Yeah, well, Wright State needed the victory. I mean, the way Cleveland State is playing, I think Wright State saw the urgency, and not that Youngstown State shouldn't have played with urgency either, but Wright State saw the urgency and any hopes of a divisional championship. They needed the victory, and both teams did, but Wright State surely came out and played some inspired basketball. No two ways about it.
You get beat, and again, you don't know how to take it, okay? I mean, YSU beats Wright State on Friday without arguably their best player, and then comes out the next day and probably, gets beat by 45. So, do I have a read on the YSU men's team? I think it gets harder and harder each time.
Well, you can make an argument for that. There's no two ways about that. You can make an argument. As for the YSU women, again, they lose their first three games. They had a lot of turnovers in their first three games. Saturday, they turned the ball over just 12 times, and lo and behold, John Barnes' kids get a victory, and the YSU women in the win column.
And again, it's one of those things where they didn't play that well on Friday, came out and didn't let Oakland get off to that big start that they got on Friday night. And when teams get off to a double-digit lead run, sometimes it's tough to battle back. And John Barnes and the crew were able to kind of contain Oakland. And they were able to make some shots. I don't know if Coach is really pleased with their shot selection. It seems like they're rushing some shots. They're taking threes just to take threes. In threes, look, if they go in, it's good. If they don't, then it could be trouble. And I think that was a problem in the first game. They were just taking some wild shots, and Oakland was able to capitalize.
Dan Wallace, 21 Sports Director, calling in on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Dana, lots of basketball, and I got to believe with 5 weeks left before the girls' basketball tournament and 6 weeks left before the boys' basketball tournament, one would assume we're going to have wall-to-wall basketball for these next 5 to 6 weeks, especially the Trumbull County schools. And, we've been saying on this show, make sure that you get all your league games in. And for the Northeast 8, the MVAC Scarlet Tier, the EOAC, that's 14 games. For the for the MVAC Gray Tier, that's 12 games. Get anywhere from 15 to 18 games in if you can, if you're a Trumbull County school. If you're Mahoning and Columbiana counties, there's a good chance you can get 22 games in. But, if you can get 15 to 18 games in, you should be ready to go for the tournament.
Well, and again, it's just the consistency and getting everybody up to speed, Ron. I think that's the key. I mean, you want to play games, you want to be competitive, you want to be in those tight games, and coaches are, want to do that. Athletic directors want to make sure they get their league games in. Coaches want to make sure they're competitive, they're playing, smart basketball and trying to improve each day.
Well, and the big thing is, just get as many games in as humanly possible, and then let's get into the tournaments and hope that nobody is burned out with a number of games played in a short amount of time before the tournaments. But, Dana, now that we're seeing some of these teams playing, I think I was telling a couple of people at Beagley on Saturday, sign me up and I'll pay top dollar to watch Cheney and Struthers play boys basketball, because these two teams, they look really good.
Well, and again, I think Cheney, is probably the most talented team, on paper, but Ron, they were sidelined for 4 weeks. They're just getting back into the swing of things. So it's going to take them a couple of weeks to kind of get in the game mode. So, you take a week or two to get in the game mode, then you got 3 weeks to really play and go from there. And, I think that could work to their advantage. And I just think, look, you want to play, you want to make sure your team is ready for the tournament. And I don't know if teams can be ready for the tournament. I think in a normal season, are teams ready for the tournament? I mean, they have to be, but mentally and physically, are they? I don't know. Maybe this will be a blessing in disguise. Maybe playing 22 regular season games is a tad too much and teams tire out. I think this is going to be a very interesting tournament time. And Ron, I think what you're going to see, too, is, if all these league games aren't completed, you're going to see schools go back when they're eliminated from the tournament and possibly play those games, those tournament games, so everyone plays the equal amount of games.
Now, the other thing that needs to be mentioned, and we've mentioned it a few times over the last couple of weeks, much like the fall season where soccer and volleyball played a large, supersized district tournaments where two districts combined into one gigantic district, there's a really good chance that happens in basketball. Now, obviously in Division IV, Grand Valley and Struthers for the boys, that makes sense. Warren Harding district and the Salem district combining into one, that makes sense. The big question is, if we do have two districts combining into one, which district combines into the Boardman district in Division II? Is it the Akron St. Vincent St. Mary district tournament?
Well, that would be up to the Northeast Ohio District Board if they decided to go that route. They handle this quadrant of the state when it comes to those types of things, and they'll make the decision which is in the best interest. You probably want to take the closest district with the most amount of teams in that district. So I think this would be a case where the Northeast Ohio District Board would say, okay, we want to look at this district, and this is the district that's going to be paired with Boardman. I don't think it's a major decision, Ron, because sooner or later you're going to have to play, those teams anyway. So I don't think it will be a major decision. I think if the Northeast Ohio District Board wants to go that route, they will certainly do that.
Dana Ballas, 21 Sports Director, joining me on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. From a business standpoint, and let's be honest, I mean, you guys, you're working really hard, and now that we're at least conceivably having more games squished into a tighter window, what is the atmosphere like with you guys, sports-wise? I mean, are you guys busier than normal now that it appears that we're having more games played on a nightly basis?
No, Ron, I mean, basically what I try to do is I try to be fair to every school. I try to get every school covered. When Trumbull County was down, I mean, we focused on Mahoning and Columbiana County. I mean, we look at matchups too a little bit, but we're trying to focus a little more on the Trumbull County schools that were down for 4 weeks. But, look, we want to promote the kids. I don't care if a team's winless or if a team's undefeated. I mean, our job is to promote the kids and the programs, and that's something that I try to do. Obviously I'll look at matchups and say, okay, this looks to be a pretty good matchup, but you never know. And so we try to, get to 2 or 3 games every night and, promote the kids, promote those programs.
It should be an awful lot of fun between now and the end of the regular season in basketball. Not to mention you've got wrestling going on, you've got swimming going on, you got bowling going on, all kinds of different things to keep yourself busy with.
Well, and again, that's the key. I mean, everyone's doing what they have to do for the safety protocols, for the safety procedures. Ron, the one that I still just can't figure out is wrestling. I can't figure out, and we're talking about wearing masks and this and that, and you have guys and women, because there's a couple of women wrestlers, rolling around on a mat. That to me makes, I just can't figure that one out, but they're able to do it.
It's amazing that we have had the number of games played given this pandemic, and hats off to the OHSAA for that. I thought that, and you and I shared the same sentiment, that at some point in time in the fall there was a chance that we would not have high school football, and they got through the season. I thought, okay, this could be pretty tough to get through the winter because it's an indoor sport. All of the sports are indoor. I think it was going to be really, really tough to get through winter. Give the OHSAA some credit. They have done a really, really good job of making sure through all of the schools that this has happened without a very much of a hiccup. I mean, Trumbull County obviously not able to play the calendar month of December, and that's a pretty big hiccup. But other than that, it's gone pretty well, which is an unbelievable credit to the state and the schools.
Well, I think the schools deserve the credit. I mean, the OHSAA has given them the green light, and basically, Ron, they've said we've left it up to each school to decide what they want to do. But I think the school, the administrators, the athletic directors have done a yeoman's job of making sure everyone is socially distanced. Now, look, you go to a game, you're in a small gym. I mean, the people look like they're right on top of each other. But I think they've done a good job of limiting the number of people that could come in to watch the game. I mean, the governor has said, look, it's fair for parents to go. So there's no student bodies. There's no, excuse me, I mean, it's family. If there's extra tickets, whatever the schools are doing with that. But, my main concern, Ron, is, look, you're paying 3 officials, probably, let's say $50 a game. That's $150 for 3 officials. You're paying your scoreboard operator, your official bookkeeper. You probably have a police officer there. I just can't see how schools are making money to offset that. I mean, they're probably making, I would think, less money to cover their costs. So that's a big question. Financially, it can't be good for any school. I mean, and if you have programs that are, the McDonald Girls, won 22 games last year with everyone coming back. I mean, West Branch always draws very well. I mean, if you have a team that's competitive, I mean, people are going to come out to see it. And right now, you can't do that. And I think financially, this is where schools are going to take a hit, and I think that's going to pose some problems down the road.
Yeah, you mentioned all of those things, and you also have to turn the lights on in the gymnasium, electricity costs. That's going to be another part of that as well. Hey, Dana, before we let you go, late last week, the Indians making it official. Francisco Lindor, Carlos Carrasco traded away to the New York Mets. A lot of Indians fans very disappointed with Indians ownership. Their argument shouldn't be with ownership as much as it should be with Major League Baseball for allowing large markets to essentially have a monopoly on veterans who are going to be making a lot more money.
Well, look, Ron, they got rid of $30 million. In 2018, the Indians' payroll was $138 million. Today, their payroll's $36 million. So, look, you're coming off a pandemic year. I have no problem with the trade. You know, is the trade a good one? We don't know that. No one knows that because you don't know what these players who the Indians got are going to do. You know, you got to trust the Indians brass when it comes to this. Look, let's put the shoe on the other foot. If you don't trade Lindor, you know he wasn't going to re-sign. So you got to get something for him. Carrasco, I think, was a surprise for a lot of people, but they didn't trade Carlos Carrasco because, you know, Carlos Carrasco was having a bad year. They traded Carlos Carrasco part of this deal because he was going to get $10 million next year, and the Indians just can't afford that. I mean, you're a mid-major market. You're coming off a year where no fans were there. You were struggling before the pandemic even started, so I got to assume financially that struggling has taken on, you know, it's probably, you know, 5, 6. I mean, you brought no cash in except from your TV contracts, okay, but you didn't get that extra revenue you're used to with parking, concessions, ticket sales, and all that. And I'm sure that's a big hit. So, you know, did the Indians do the right thing from a financial standpoint? They did. You know, Antonetti said last week we're going to reinvest some of that now. You know, we have some of that money we're going to reinvest, okay? Are you going to get a Lindor caliber type of player? No. Are you going to get someone like Carrasco? No. Okay, so basically, Ron, I think you're in a situation where, you know, whatever adjective you want to use, rebuild, reload, maybe not reload, but, you know, you're starting again from basically the bottom, you know, and look, I would be surprised if they do play a season, the Indians are struggling, that Ramirez will probably be on the chopping block because right now he's probably your best overall player.
Dan, always a pleasure, sir. Look forward to catching up with you next week.
Thanks, Ron.
You got it. Dana Ballas, 21 Sports Director, joining us on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. Well, one of the things I can tell you right away with the deal, Carrasco was the sweetener. In other words, adding Carrasco allowed the Indians to get 4 former top 10 prospects, 2 of which were former number 1 prospects, both graduating into Major League Baseball. Both of the shortstops and infielders were playing for the New York Mets. They were both former number 1 prospects. The other 2 kids, I believe, are the 7th and 8th or 8th and 9th top prospect in the Mets organization. So you traded away Carrasco. He was able to get back a couple of those top 10 prospects. He was the sweetener to get what the Indians got. And I made mention of this last week. I was very disappointed when the trade was announced. And then, as I said, you know, you for me as a baseball guy, you know, I still have people that I can call up and I wanted to hear from them, and then obviously I wanted to do some back research and check some scouting reports from people that I trust and whatnot. And you know, I mean, when I saw everything that I saw, when I heard some people tell me what the 2 kids that I had never seen, what the book on them and whatnot, I'm still not happy with the trade short term. But long term, I think the Indians have a really good chance, and again, potential, ugly word for non-championship caliber teams, but I trust the organization in that they have done a really good job, they being the Indians have done a really good job of grabbing kids via trades and have these kids turn out to be pretty good players. The Indians organization has had a knack for doing that. And I trust the Indians organization in that regard. So while this is not a good deal short term, long term, potentially, and again, ugly word, but potentially the Indians could have robbed the New York Mets blind long term. Potentially. That's a lot of things would have to turn out right for that to happen. But potentially the Indians could have robbed the Mets long term, robbed them blind with 4 top 10 prospects in their organization, 2 former top prospects in the organization. We'll see what happens. There's some so-called experts that say that the 2 kids that were playing Major League Baseball, neither one of them are going to amount to anything. Rosario was struggling with New York. Let's see what he does in Cleveland. Jimenez, I think Jimenez has a really good chance to be an outstanding player. And then these 2 kids that they picked up, who knows? Who knows? Potentially solid deal, but short term, no 2 ways about it. The Indians did not get very much back in the short term, but in the long term, this could be a really good deal for the Indians, but a lot would have to go right. All right, 330-886-0813, the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning hotline open for business. Did you happen to hear the kind of, sort of, maybe possible breaking news that Darius Quisenberry might not be happy at Youngstown State? That would be interesting. It would be very interesting to see what happens. I'm just hoping that it's the ankle and nothing else. Obviously, he injured his ankle during the game against WVU Tech, the NAIA team that they played at Beagley. And hopefully his ankle injury gets better. But there's no 2 ways about it. They missed Darius Quisenberry in those 2 games against Wright State. Be very curious to see if there's validity to what Dana said, because again, he flat out said in the segment he's hearing whispers that it might not just be an ankle injury. Oh boy, that would be tough if that were the case. All right, 330-886-0813. We're back in a bit. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. If you're in the market for a new or slightly used automobile, you need to hightail it over to Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Check out Greenwood Chevrolet. Go to Greg Greenwood and say, make me a deal, and I'm sure his sales department, finance department, they'll make you a deal, and that service department will be right there whenever your car needs serviced. All right, we're back in a bit. Stick around.
It's storm season.
I think we're under the gun for some heavy storms over the next couple of hours.
And Storm Tracker 21 is ready.
This is probably the one we're keeping a closer eye on.
On air.
And locally, we're going to have a lot of eyes on our area.
Online.
All right, let's talk high-risk futurecast and the timing of this weather.
On social media and on our app.
Rain will come and go tomorrow. There'll be some dry intervals.
Stay ready with Storm Tracker 21.
The severe weather threat now through around sunset this evening.
Hi, I'm Colin Chupa. And I'm Kelsey Clem from K-Squared Marketing. Our boutique marketing firm specializes in media planning and buying, public relations, event marketing strategies, and strategic sponsorships. We can integrate our services with your existing game plan, or we can be your entire marketing team. Your goals, our game plan. Let's win together. Call K-Squared Marketing at 330-623-2730 or visit ksquared.marketing to learn more.
Hi everyone, this is DJ Yoakley with Your Sports Network. We appreciate your support of YSN and welcome you to the YSN family. Our broadcast streams are brought to you live at no cost to you by sponsors that are local to this community. Without the vision and generosity of our sponsors and partners, we would not be able to bring this game to you today. So please support the great businesses and leaders that are making this game possible. And if you're a business in need of great advertising and sponsorship opportunities, feel free to head over to our site for more information on the right fit for you. We are local, we are loyal, and we are live. We are YSN.
Ah, the details. Baird Brothers Fine Hardwoods is one fine ride. Perfect cornering, superb handling, sporty and stylish, power to spare, plus awesome mileage. Yeah, jaw-droppingly beautiful lines and well appointed with luxurious trim. Put more oomph in your life and start beholding the molding. Find your home's fine hardwood at BairdBrothers.com.
No matter what the weather, be prepared with a reliable, efficient Ruud gas furnace or air conditioner from MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Call your energy efficient expert, MP Vivo, today for a free estimate.
Here at MP Vivo, we rely on Ruud, and so should you.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline, open for business, 330-886-0813. That's 330-886-0813. With you till 3 o'clock, at which time DJ and the fellas will have Power Hour. They'll get you through the 3 o'clock hour. We get basketball tonight on the network. I know Larry and I, Larry Scragg and yours truly, will be at Rebels Gymnasium tonight as the Crestview Lady Rebels will be taking on Liberty. Again, the JV game will start at 5:30? 5:30 they start? Yeah, they start at 5:30. So the varsity game will get going somewhere around 7 o'clock. Somewhere around 7 o'clock tonight, the varsity game will get going. So Larry and I are going to be busy tonight, and all week, as a matter of fact. You've got the Lady Rebels tonight. You got the boys taking on Liberty at Rebels Gymnasium on Tuesday. Thursday night, you've got the Lady Rebels playing Brookfield at Rebels Gym. Friday, the Brookfield boys come to town. And then Saturday, the Lady Rebels play Western Reserve in Crestview. So Larry Scragg and I will be at Rebels Gym tonight, tomorrow, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. The Saturday game, by the way, will be somewhere in the vicinity of 12:30 in the afternoon, which is good. Game's going to be over around 2. Bills game starts a little after 8. Plenty of time to get up to Orchard Park. Yeah, that's good. Life is good. Life is good. Now, the only thing is, I'm going to make sure that I'm not stranded. Don't want to be stranded in Orchard Park. And the preliminary forecast for that particular game on Saturday night, the preliminary forecast for Saturday night is 1 to 3 inches of snow expected. Well, listen. How do I put this nicely? Orchard Park gets a lot of snow. Orchard Park is in the southern basin of where Lake Erie ends. Orchard Park in Hamburg, which is the town closest to the New York State Thruway. If you get off of the New York State Thruway, I-90 exit 57, you're in Hamburg. And that's where there's a couple of really nice hotels that I'm assuming that the teams will stay there because it's a hop, skip, and a jump to Orchard Park. Now, then again, they could be staying in downtown Buffalo, which a lot of people in Buffalo want a stadium there. Whatever. Forecast is 1 to 3 inches of snow on Saturday night. Be curious to see what happens there. The long-range forecast, and again, I don't ever trust these forecasts until we're about a day or two out. But the long-range forecast in Kansas City, sunshine and clouds with a high of 44. And the winds are to be from the west-northwest at 5 to 10 miles an hour. So 44 degrees, sunny skies. 1% chance of precipitation. And again, we're 6 days away from the actual game. That forecast may change. At some point in time, that forecast may change. But there's not supposed to be any precipitation whatsoever for the next week or so in Kansas City. So if it's sunshine, 44 degrees, that's actually not a bad forecast for the Browns. That's actually that's doable. That's very doable. Here's the thing that I think where the Browns are going to be, they're going to have a better chance. And the element that Kansas City gets taken away from, this gets taken away from them, and that is the large crowd. You're not going to have a sellout crowd at Arrowhead. Arrowhead is one of the loudest places to go and one of the loudest NFL stadiums. I don't know how it was built. I don't know how it was built that way, but Arrowhead is one of the loudest stadiums. When you get 70,000 plus people in that stadium and everyone's hooting and hollering, that is one of the loudest stadiums on record. And when you're playing football and you're trying to, your quarterback is trying to bark out the signals and whatnot, you can have a hard time listening to your quarterback. The crowd, and they're pretty good when it comes to this. They're actually really good when it comes to this. Football crowd, when their team has the ball, they're nowhere near as loud. But when the other team has the ball, they're making all kinds of noise. And Arrowhead, like I said, it's one of the loudest places on record. Well, now that you don't have a sellout crowd, and that screaming and the noise generated by the fans, it's not there. That part of the home field advantage is gone. And the Browns, they don't have to deal with that. They're not going to have to deal with that. I think it's a huge advantage for the Browns. Now, again, the forecast could change. If you have plenty of sunshine and you give the Browns a dry track, okay, look, Mahomes, that offense, they're unbelievable. It's a great offense. No two ways about that. But if you're giving the Browns a dry track and you're giving Chubb and an already amped up Kareem Hunt, who's going to be even more amped up because he's going against the team that essentially gave up on him, and he's going to have a chip on his shoulder. Now, as long as Kareem Hunt doesn't do anything stupid that regards in one or more penalties, you can come in with some swagger. Just make sure that you don't hurt your team by having unnecessary roughness and penalties that are going to cost your team. As long as that happens, Browns have a shot. Browns have a shot in this game. They have a shot in this game. But as I mentioned before, the only way they win this game, they got to play keep away against that Chiefs offense. And the way you play keep away is you have the ball for about 34, 35 minutes, and you limit their possessions. All right, let's go to Tony. Tony, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
Hi, Ron. Nothing worked out the way I wanted it. Well, kind of, I guess. Bills did win, but do you have an opinion on this weekend?
Well, it was an ugly.
playing her?
It was an ugly game, and the Bills were outplayed, and they probably didn't deserve to win the game. But as I told a couple of friends of mine, I'll take 3 more of those games, 3 more wins, and to see my team lift a Lombardi Trophy, that would be tremendous. I mean, look, at the end of the day, you know this.
Sometimes the ball just doesn't bounce your way either.
Yeah.
What was it? 6 times in a row they started with inside the 15, and Dable's sphincter gets really tight down by the goal line, and he really, really, really draws in the reins tight. So they were very limited, though, almost the whole first half, until that last drive when he said, heck with it, we really can't hurt ourselves at this point. Go for it. And they went from the, 5 and scored, right?
Yeah, it was late in the first half. They had a 95, 96-yard drive and wound up scoring. But, look, Indianapolis becomes the first team in playoff history to lose a game with 0 turnovers and 450 or more yards on offense. And to give everyone an idea, before the game against Indianapolis, this situation where a team getting 450 or more yards in total offense and no turnovers, it happened 11 times previously, and those teams combined for an 11-0 record. Those 11 games were won by an average of 21.3 points. It happened on Saturday, and Indianapolis lost the game, to which I go, whew. I'm happy, and again, in the playoffs, this ain't a beauty contest. The goal is you win your games, and you and I were talking about this. I mean, look, the Bills were deep in their own territory the entire first half. They didn't have a start. They didn't have a start outside of their 25-yard line, not once in the first half.
Outside of their 15.
Yeah, they had one start outside of their 15 in the first half.
Okay.
But I mean, outside of their 25, they had no field position whatsoever in the first half. And when the Bills got the long touchdown drive, and got a 14-10 lead at halftime, I looked at this and I said, Indianapolis did everything right, and they're still down by 4 points.
Absolutely. And what did the Bills do in the second half? They didn't do the double up we wanted, but they doubled up on scoring.
Yeah,
so
they got a field goal out of the deal.
Right. So you can't. It is sometimes you take a happy loss. The other thing is how long of a win streak do they have going on right now?
I want to say 6 or 7 games.
See, I hate going into a playoffs tournament with a long win streak, because that's just 4 more games you have to win. And long win streaks are hard, especially in a professional sport like that. So it's okay if you lose one, and I'm going to count this as a loss, and I'm going to start our win streak over, hopefully.
Well, listen, I mean, it's not like they're the only team that's coming into this affair with a long win streak. The Ravens and the Bills are the 2 hottest teams in the AFC. And look, I mean, here's a spoiler alert. The Bills are, quote, unquote, the favorite. They're not really the favorite in this game. They're the favorite because the game is being played in Buffalo. The line started at 3. It's immediately gone down to under 3 points. You give the home team 3 points because they're playing a home game. That line right now is at 2.5. I mean, if this game's on a neutral field, Baltimore is the favorite in this game. Not by much, though.
Yeah, when you're playing well, you're not as good as you think you are. And when you're playing bad, when you play a bad game, you're not as bad as people think you are. So, you know what? Let's look at the positive side. They had some unbelievable stops.
Who?
Goal line stops.
Oh, yeah, they did. No, there's no 2 ways about it. They did.
And they've been doing that. This isn't unprecedented because they've been doing that freakishly all year.
Yeah, I don't understand what Frank Reich was doing on third down.
I don't care what he was doing.
You've got an offensive line that was manhandling the Buffalo's defensive front the entire game, and you're going to go with an outside call on Buffalo's 1. Hell, I'm giving the ball to Jonathan Taylor on third down, and I'm putting it right over Quentin Nelson's backside. And I'm going to say, if this doesn't work, I'm going to do the same damn thing again, because I'm sure as heck not going to go off tackle from the Buffalo 1, knowing that the Bills linebackers are fast, and there's a better than average chance that they can get the job done. Oh, by the way, they did. 2-yard loss. And then even if I have the ball on the 3-yard line, what are you doing chasing points? Kick the field goal, live to fight another day. Look, Frank Reich, I mean, hey, God bless him. He's a great guy, and he has authored the greatest comeback in the history of postseason football, and he did it in a Bills uniform, but he didn't coach his best game on Saturday against Buffalo.
When we lost back-to-back to Titans in Kansas City, you know, we were concerned probably that, God, let's just get through this season and get us into the playoffs, hopefully. But we ran, well, other than that stupid game out in the desert, we had a pretty great second half, huh?
Oh, yeah. Maybe outside of the game and the Hail Murray, it's been a fun year. Now, again, this isn't what I wanted per se. Now, as a Bills fan who loves watching the Browns play, and you know, my cousin who grew up in Orchard Park and is a huge Bills fan, he and I were talking during the Browns game, and he said, "This is why I wanted the Steelers. This is exactly why I wanted the Bills to play the Steelers, because they were bound to implode, and he wanted them to implode in Orchard Park and have the Ravens."
I definitely wanted the Steelers, but I give you credit. You don't want to back into a championship. You want to run face first into it. So I give you credit. I know you're happy with either the Titans or the Ravens.
Well, now let me hang on a second, Tony.
I didn't want to face them.
Hang on a second, Tony. Let me backtrack what you're saying. I didn't want any part of the Ravens. What I wanted was the Titans, because I wanted to kick their smug ass up and down the field. I can't stand Vrabel. I can't stand that team. And as it turns out, the Ravens had a little more hatred
more
in
hate for them than you did.
Yeah, exactly, because of what the Titans did to them earlier in the season. Apparently, they danced on their logo, and of course, when the Ravens wound up getting the clinching interception, all of the defensive players did a tap dance on the Titans logo, which interesting. And you know, I mean, look, the Ravens are a fantastic team, and they're going to pose every bit the problems that Indianapolis.
Can I put a positive spin on it?
Yeah.
The Jackson can do some freaky things, and he's fast, and you just have to account for him all the time. And our quarterback is pretty mobile also. I like our quarterback in 3 inches of snow better than I like their quarterback in 3 inches of snow.
Yeah, let's just hope that the 3 inches of snow delivers, because if it's a dry track, Baltimore's got a better chance at beating Buffalo. Now, obviously, strange things happen in January in Orchard Park, and you put snow on the field.
They're calling
now
for snow, correct?
Yeah, they're calling for 1 to 3 inches of snow, but again, it's today's Monday. The game is Saturday. I don't trust any weather forecaster 5 days out. You call me on Thursday. Let me know what's going to happen on Saturday, and then I'll start buying it. I'm not buying any weather forecast for a Saturday on a Monday. It's not happening.
Now as for the other game, if you're a Browns fan, this is my opinion. I'm not a Browns fan right now, so they can have whatever opinion they want. But I do not want Tyreek Hill on a fast track.
Well, and again, and now this is 6 days out, but the forecast in Kansas City is abundance of sunshine with a temperature of about mid-40s, with no rain in the forecast, no nothing. So
perfect January weather in Kansas City.
Yeah, and it favors both teams, because obviously the Browns can get their running game going, and Baker can manage the game like he has, and Kansas City can get their high-powered offense. And at the end of the day, Cleveland's going to have to limit Kansas City's possessions. You normally get about 10 to 12 possessions per game in the National Football League. If Cleveland can limit that the possessions to anywhere from 5 to 7, and by doing that, the Browns have to have the ball for about 5-6 minutes at a time, and they score and score touchdowns once they're in the red zone, then I think the Browns have a really good chance at beating Kansas City.
Now, I love Chubb. And so, temper this a little bit. But and I don't have any proof of this, but I surely feel that there's one back I want to in snow and in bad weather, and that's Nick Chubb. As sure-footed as they come, and I don't know. I haven't seen him on a bad track, so somebody may have seen him last year playing a bad surface and how he performed. But I sure would feel that he's a good back on a bad track.
Well, I would love. I've said this all along. I'd love to have Nick Chubb in the Bills uniform. My God, that kid can play. I mean, that kid can seriously play. And I think the combination of Chubb and Hunt's the wild card in this because he's got axes to grind. He has a big axe.
I heard that earlier, Ron. Can I stop you on that? He has axes to grind. If he is so petty that something he did wrong to facilitate a discipline and a release by them makes him angry, he's got issues.
Well, okay, then let me flip the script. Why is Tyreek Hill still on Kansas City?
Well, I don't.
I mean,
yeah, you're right.
That's where I think Hunt is going to be using this and saying, okay, you want to get rid of me, that's fine. Tyreek Hill did something just as bad, if not worse. He's still on the team. Oh, he can find an axe to grind with Kansas City.
But on its own, I think he is out of line trying to be upset with Kansas City about them letting him go for kicking a woman.
Well, look, I mean, he can find a way to fire himself up, and you can sit back and say, "Oh, you gave up on me? Okay, let me show you what you're missing out on, and have that fuel." If you're a Browns fan, you want that. Now, having said that, you don't want him to come in so amped up that he's going to start being a knucklehead to the point where he gets taunting and personal fouls and whatnot.
You mean being a Jarvis Landry?
Yeah, well, yeah. If he costs his team a couple of 15-yard penalties, then you need to get him out of the ball game and cool him off for a little bit. And hopefully, if you're a Browns fan, hopefully Kareem Hunt doesn't act that way. Hopefully he tempers his emotions. If he does, this could be fun. This, like I said, the Browns have a shot against Kansas City. It's going to come down to what can their offense do, and when the Chiefs have the ball. I mean, look, you saw it last night. Everyone's going to double team Myles Garrett from here on out, and Myles Garrett's going to be an afterthought when it comes to what kind of production he's going to do. So the key is, what are some of the other guys on that defensive line going to do? What is Ogunjobi going to do up the middle? What is the bookend defensive end going to do against Mitchell Schwartz? Because somebody's got to put pressure on Mahomes.
Hey, one thing, and I've been selling him as a really sweet, nice kid the whole time, but I've known he's a different personality than I've been selling. And I'll be honest with you right now about Josh Allen. I want to tell you a little bit about Josh Allen. And you saw a little bit of it after the game, so he couldn't hide it. This guy is. And I'm not comparing them, their capabilities, what they were, what they're going to end up being. He is a Michael Jordan. And what I mean by that is this guy, a Kobe Bryant, this guy just hates poor performance and losing ugly. And it eats at him. Did you see his interview after the game?
Yeah, but he doesn't act like a he
doesn't act like it.
Yeah.
He controls it.
Yeah.
But that's what fires him up. That's what drives him.
Yeah.
So just so you understand it, this guy's not some shucks farm boy.
No.
He is a competitor.
Well, all of them are.
Right.
Yeah, all of them.
But some of them have another gear, and he's got that competitive gear, that other competitive gear. So, and if he'd have shown that the first 2 years to the general public, they would have hated the kid, and he would have got run out of town. I think he managed it really well.
Well, he didn't have the talent the first couple of years. It didn't show.
Well,
I mean, it's he
could be. he's angry at himself as much as anybody else.
Yeah.
So the fact that you're angry at yourself, nobody's going to take personally.
Yeah.
But you know, I like the kid.
I like
out
him. Check
the numbers out.
He's won me over.
People think he had a pedestrian day. He didn't have a pedestrian day.
No, he's done a nice job. He's done a fantastic job, and like I said,
he had a 120 or 130 rating.
Yeah, everyone knows, Tony. Everyone knows he's turned out to be a really good quarterback, and like I said, last year, his rookie year, I had no use for Josh Allen. I thought Josh Allen was god awful his rookie year, and he was. He improved significantly between year 1 and year 2 to where, and I wasn't the only one that said this. I went to the game, covered the game with the place that I previously worked for, covered the game, and I heard not just me say this. Tony Grossi said it, and a couple of other people in the Cleveland, within the Browns, covering the Browns, and a couple of Bills people said, hey, just, it's a wild comparison right now because it's just his second year and he's got a long, long way to go, but he's a green John Elway. And yeah, you're right. He is. He's a very green John Elway. This year, he's taken an unbelievable step forward, just like Baker has, not as big a step, but both of these guys have now officially become their franchise quarterbacks. They have both won a playoff game, which is a prerequisite to be a franchise quarterback, and they both have their teams in the divisional playoffs. And I think it's interesting, and I mentioned this, Tony, and I'm going to get your opinion on this. You have the AFC, where 4 quarterbacks, all under the age of 25, all 4 of these guys are 4 of the best young quarterbacks the game has to offer. The new guard, if you will, Patrick Mahomes, even though he has 1 Super Bowl ring under his belt, 25 years of age. Lamar Jackson, 25 years of age. Baker Mayfield, Josh Allen, both 24 years of age. The young guns.
Jackson's 24 also. Jackson's actually a little bit younger than Allen.
Yeah, but the young guns. These 4 kids are the young guns. And then over in the NFC, okay, Goff is the strange bird out of this. He's 26. But you've got Drew Brees, who's teetering on 40. You got a 42-year-old in Tom Brady. You got a 36-ish-year-old in Aaron Rodgers. 3 guys that are going to go to Canton their first time up when it comes to their first year of eligibility. They're going to be into Canton. They're going to be inducted into the Hall of Fame. You can make a serious argument all 3 of these guys are going to go down as one of the 10 greatest quarterbacks to ever play this game. You have that going on in the NFC, and you have 4 of the better under 25-year-old quarterbacks dueling it out in the AFC. I absolutely love the playoffs as it stands
I agree with
up.
you. I just think that's the way it's cycled. It's the phase we're on right now because you skipped over Roethlisberger. Roethlisberger was in the playoffs.
Well, yeah, but he's not in anymore. Yeah.
If you're just counting people, but I'm saying he was there.
Oh, of course.
So, so he's on his way out too. But yeah, I agree with you. They're loaded, but the next wave of young guys is going to be on the other side, right? A couple of years behind this group.
Well, and but again, I mean, when you get to the conference championship games, unless LA upsets Green Bay, and that's a distinct possibility depending on how healthy Aaron Donald is, because if Donald's healthy, he can change that game. He's that good. But if Green Bay holds serve, you will officially have in the NFC Championship game 2 older elite all-time great quarterbacks. And the AFC Championship game will feature 2 young guys, 25 or under.
Regardless, right?
Yeah, the new guard. And the 2 guys in the NFC title game will be the old guard. We'll have an old guard versus new guard Super Bowl. And unless LA finds a way to represent the NFC, we're going to have an old guard versus new guard quarterback duel in the Super Bowl, which I think is going to be pretty cool.
One of the things, and I texted you I was angry. I was angry after that, and I don't know why I was angry. I think I was both of our offensive lines, if I may, because you brought up Arnold. Arnold.
The guy from
lineman.
The guy
Donald.
from
Aaron Donald.
Aaron
Thank you very
Donald.
much.
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. Only because you brought him up. My God, I am so. I think it must come down to coaching at this point, because coaching does adds a lot. Maybe it's time that the Bills and maybe some of the other teams that aren't producing, and maybe Tiller was refuge from us. Okay, so we got rid of him. He's an All-Pro now.
Yeah. He wasn't cutting it in Buffalo. I mean, he was an Olay offensive lineman. He didn't do a very good job in Buffalo. And this is the classic example of, all right, you're getting traded, and this is your absolute last chance. You don't make it here, you're done.
Well, the Browns brought in a new offensive coach or line coach this year, and he's apparently working miracles. He is working miracles. They had 3 All-Pros. Come on.
Yeah, well, look, I mean, he is a pretty good offensive line coach. There's no two ways about that.
And I think that's a big part of it. I think that's what the Bills the Bills and a lot of other teams. Because you look at the kid, when he was in Cleveland, the draft pick who went just ahead of Chubb, the lineman that was picked.
From Nevada. Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
He's playing really well out there under a different coach. When he was in Cleveland under Cleveland's previous coach, he was meh.
Yeah.
But now he's special.
Well, again, I mean, a lot of that, some of it is coaching. I think a lot of it is, okay, you've been traded away. Now that thought of, this is my last go-around. Because if I don't produce here, I'm done in the National Football League. Nobody's going to take a chance on me if I don't produce here. And I think a change of scenery is a very, very it's an eye-opening thing, and it can get someone motivated to play some really, really inspired football. And
absolutely, that's a motivator. I don't know what it is. I guess I'm asking that question, not saying I know the answer to the question, but you know what? Coaching has a lot to do with it.
I agree with that. I agree with that, but there is an element of, okay, I didn't get it done over here. They let me go. I'm going to have a chip on my shoulder, but I'm also going to be very cognizant to understanding that if I don't make it in this second place, I'm not going to have much of a future. So the career is on the line, and guys tend to do an awful lot more. I'm not saying that the effort's not there the first go around. Maybe it's the scheme. Maybe it's management. Maybe it's something within the organization. I don't know. What I do know is Wyatt Teller is nowhere near the player that he was in Buffalo. If he played this way in Buffalo, there's no way in hell the Bills would have gotten rid of Wyatt Teller.
I do like their line coach. I love the oh my gosh, drawing blanks. I'm driving, so I'm drawing blanks. Their offensive coordinator who was calling the plays yesterday.
Alex Van Pelt is unbelievable.
Good job. Good job stepping up. And I told you, he's married to a Niles girl, so there's a local connection.
Yeah, and Alex Van Pelt used to quarterback the Bills too. So the kid knows football inside and out. It's he could very well be an offensive coordinator that winds up calling a bunch of plays, or a future head football coach in this league pretty soon.
Stefanski?
No, Alex Van Pelt.
No, I'm talking about Stefanski.
Oh yeah,
I'm throwing him out too.
Well, yeah, it's a Stefanski type of.
And the people who wanted to hate on Barry for whatever reason because he's recycled, Barry seems to be pulling the right strings too.
Yeah, it's amazing what these guys have done. I mean, Stefanski, Barry, DePodesta, they're all in their 30s.
Right, and they're all people that were hated 5 years ago.
Now,
4 years ago.
Let me just throw this out. Unlike Indianapolis, they're not allowing analytics to be the be-all, end-all. Analytics might have very well cost Indianapolis that game, as well as poor decision-making by Frank Reich. And let's be honest, Frank Reich is always going to be a Buffalo Bill, and he proved that on Saturday with his crappy coaching performance. But analytics played an awful lot to do with the downfall of the Indianapolis Colts on Saturday. I mean,
let's not fool ourselves, Trent. That Chinese carryout menu that they read off of is all built from analytics.
Yeah. I'm going to go for 2 points because the numbers say, okay, well, it doesn't make any sense in this particular circumstance. And if you don't get the 2 points, you're going to have a lot of people talking, just asking questions, and you can't go by, the book tells me. And throw your book and stick it where the sun don't shine. I like my coaches to have gut decisions and not go strictly by the book.
Okay, well, I'm where I need to be, and I don't want to get in action. But thanks for the conversation. But I don't know I don't remember their whole saying, but the humility, something and humble, and I think we got to remain that way about the Bills.
Listen,
I sure hope the best for them, but
I'm not, like I said last week, and I'll say it again this week. There ain't nothing that I'm thinking more about than the Baltimore Ravens. They have my attention. Lamar Jackson, all the ghosts of the ugliness of his playoff past was all taken away when he had an unbelievable performance against the Tennessee Titans. I mean, the Titans had him down by double digits, and the book on Lamar Jackson was, you get him down, he's going to turn into a mediocre at best quarterback that can't throw the ball down the field, and his team's going to get their ass kicked because he can't get the job done when the team is down. All that went out the window because Lamar Jackson was good, really good yesterday, and that just tells me he's grown up, just like Josh Allen has, just like Mayfield has. I don't know if any of them are on the same level as Mahomes, but the AFC playoffs just got a whole lot better because of it. And Buffalo.
Two real quick points on the way out. I feel bad for Emmanuel. Emmanuel's as humble of Steelers fan as there is, and I know he must be bothered right now, and I respect that. I mean, he's not that in-your-face Steelers person that. The in-your-face Steelers person. I feel bad for him because it must be painful having watched what you watch. And I'm going to leave you on this one because we brought it up. We brought it up 3 times at least. Didn't we talk about needing to kill the Browns while you had the chance?
Yeah.
And we talked about it, and we also talked about needing to gain momentum. God, it took them a half to get some momentum going again.
Yeah, it's interesting. Aditi Kinkabwala, who we have on the show occasionally, she came up large with a statistic after the game last night, and this according to Aditi Kinkabwala, Steelers quarterback Ben Roethlisberger took Week 17 off before the playoffs. Coming into today, I'm reading the tweet from last night. So coming into yesterday, when he's rested in Week 17, Roethlisberger has thrown 13 touchdown passes, 13 interceptions, and 0 Super Bowl titles. When he plays in Week 17, 17 touchdown passes, 11 interceptions, 2 Super Bowl wins.
We talked about it. We talked about momentum, and people told us we were crazy.
Well, it's... I'm going to be curious to see.
We don't know all the details. He may not have been able to walk in that game.
Well, that's true. I mean, and I'll be curious to see how Steeler Nation acts on this. Because I know a lot of folks were wondering, why did he take Week 17 off? And there were other folks that said, hey, we didn't have a bye week. And there's truth to that. They were supposed to have a bye week in late October. And that bye week was taken away because of the fact they couldn't play their game against the Titans because the Titans had their COVID issues. So let's
see how the 2 bye weeks work. 2 consecutive bye weeks work out for the Chiefs also.
Well, one of the reasons why I think the Browns have a legitimate chance on Sunday is Kansas City wasn't exactly playing good football. Ending the regular season, and they've taken their week off. That's great. What is Patrick Mahomes going to be like on 1 week rest? If he's had a great year, 1 week rest, no big deal. Patrick Mahomes hasn't been that great the last 6 or 7 games. Be curious to see what the Chiefs bring to the table on Sunday afternoon.
Yeah, great discussion. I just I was flummoxed by everything that happened in this weekend. I was shocked by almost every one of those games.
Yeah, this, like I said, and forget about the outside of Cleveland and the Bills and whatnot. The NFC there's stories out the wazoo with this. The NFC game in New Orleans, and we really haven't even talked about this primetime game, which it deserves to be a primetime game. Tampa Bay goes into New Orleans. This will be the last time two of the all-time great quarterbacks go up against each other, in Tom Brady against Drew Brees. Tom Brady has looked awful against New Orleans in both of their games. You honestly think Brady's going to look awful a third time against New Orleans?
Well, the other statistics is how he deals with pressure. And Cam Jordan and the rest of that defensive line coming at him, he struggled a little bit against Washington's defensive line.
Well, yeah, he did. Now, unfortunately for the Washington football team, almost said Redskins, unfortunately for them, they didn't get enough pressure from their front four. They got some. Montez Sweat did a nice job getting a couple of shots in, and Chase Young got hurt late in the third quarter. I think he got hurt, and he was pretty much a non-factor after that. They didn't get as much pressure on him up the middle or anywhere. New Orleans has that ability, and again, if you get pressure up the middle on Tom Brady, he's not nearly effective a quarterback. I just think this is going to be a great game because I don't think Tom Brady has ever lost to a team 3 times in 1 year in his entire career. I don't believe, and of course he played in the god-awful AFC East during that time period. I don't think there was ever a time in Brady's career where he had lost to a team 3 times in 1 year. He has that possibility on Sunday night, which tells me Tampa Bay is a really good bet to beat New Orleans. Maybe I'm off on that, but I can't see Tom Brady losing to a team 3 times in 1 year.
Yeah, well, either way, it'd be fun to see the Browns or it'd be fun to see the Chiefs. I don't care either way. Just so we're playing somebody next weekend.
Well, again, the only thing I'm interested in right now is Saturday night prime time in Orchard Park. And, my only thing is, how do I get home?
Oh, you are? Did you get in?
I'm going to the game. Yeah, I'm going to go to the game. It's just, how do I get home? I'm just hoping and praying that there's not a ridiculous amount of snow on the ground. Otherwise, I'll be calling my cousin Bobby and saying, yeah, I got to crash in your place tonight.
That's what cousins are for, dude.
Well, yeah, exactly. I mean, unfortunately, God bless them, my aunt and uncle have since passed away, so I can't crash their place like I used to back in the day in the late 80s, early 90s when I was doing. I have my ways. I have my ways. So
are you going to require? Are they going to require a COVID test?
Yeah, apparently. So I'll go up there and we'll take one, and that'll be the end of that. So.
Fantastic. So you'll be dealing with all my texts while you're at the game.
Well, look. I'm assuming that I'm going to be able to go up there. So it's I'm planning on it. The snow might tell me otherwise. Because again, it's a 3+ hour drive.
Do you see Doug Peterson just got fired?
I didn't see that.
Yeah.
Well, with what happened. And how they did what they did in the fourth quarter, there were some people that that flat out said the Eagles clubhouse and the Eagles locker room is it's in a lot of anger in that locker room based on what they did. So I suppose it doesn't surprise me that Doug Peterson would be fired over it.
Yeah, well, the enemy hasn't been. Nobody's looking to pick the enemy up, but maybe that's the job. That's where he played, right?
Well, look, I mean, whoever gets Eric Bieniemy is going to. They're going to get a hell of a coach. He's more than ready to be an NFL coach. There's no two ways about that. And if I'm Philadelphia, I might be putting a call in to the Indianapolis Colts and request to talk to to the Browns and request to talk to Alex Van Pelt. Because I've been saying this for years.
Well, this is only his first year at offensive coordinator. He was up till this point. Well, maybe he had a year down in Cincinnati as offensive coordinator.
Yeah, it's Alex Van Pelt is a really good football guy, and I said for quite a while that Alex Van Pelt would make a really good football coach. Now, again,
But when he was in Green Bay, he was just a quarterback coach, right?
Yeah, he was just a quarterback coach over there.
He was a babysitter for a baby.
Yeah, a talented baby, though, you know.
Well, I got to go. I appreciate the conversation, but, humbling, thinking you know too much, right?
Well, look, all I know is Saturday, the Saturday night's going to be fun. Be a lot of fun.
Okay. Have a great time. We'll talk this week.
See ya. 330-886-0813. Just make sure that I can get up there. 3+ hours, and I-90 is a little, I'm just saying, that's a journey. And I ain't young anymore. Yeah, you remember the last time I went to a Bills playoff game, that would have been the 93, January 94, AFC title game when the Bills beat the Chiefs. And that was the year that they got destroyed by the Cowboys, Part 2, the sequel. Yeah. Now let's go to the phone lines. Emmanuel, you're on the MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline. What's up, brother?
Well, how you doing, my brother?
I'm good, man. I'm good.
I don't understand it, right?
What's that?
Now these Cleveland Browns fans, right? They just won a very, very, very big game, and they're mad at me. And the reason why they're mad at me, because I tell them, so what? We're the Pittsburgh Steelers, and you're not. And then I ask them, how many rings do we have? Then they get mad.
Well, you don't need to ask that. That's your backup to, you can't ask that question.
They mad. I mean, I'm wearing my Steeler gear, and I stood on my balcony right this morning and sung real loud. They call us the Pittsburgh Steelers. Listen, man, we're the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what? We get beat. I'm going to tell you, every good team, and you know that, including New England, gets beat. And I will tell you this. Any other team besides the Cleveland Browns, if they would have went up 28-0, you could turn off the lights. Don Meadow would have been singing. They let us get back in the game. You think Buffalo going to get if they scored 28 points in the first quarter, they're going to let the team get back in the game? It ain't going to happen.
Well, I can tell you the Bills wouldn't have given up a lot of points in that game. But look, I mean, it's not a finished product. I think that a lot of people would understand this is not a finished product with Cleveland. They're having a great year right now, and I think this might be a bonus for them. And listen, I'm the first to admit, I think that the Browns have a damn good chance at beating Kansas City, provided they are able to limit Kansas City's possessions. But this team isn't as complete as the other three teams that are still alive in the AFC.
Well, Ron, I would say this, right? And I hope DJ's listening. Now we had a pretty tough conversation about almost a month ago about our quarterback in Pittsburgh. We had a real tough conversation about that, right? Yep. And I forgot that Pouncey came in with them, and they made a deal that they were going to retire together. And for the first time since I've been watching Pouncey, I've seen his age. He can't snap that ball and do that reach block. That's what it was. He was doing that reach block. He wanted to get out there and reach, and he snapped it too high. Well, that's a sign of somebody getting old, trying to get the edge.
Well, look, there's no two ways about this. Both of those guys are old. You're right. They're both old, and they have seen better days. They're on the backside of 2 Hall of Fame careers. I think that when Roethlisberger and Pouncey both retire from the game, they're both going to be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame in Canton, and worthily so, because they're both elite. They're both one of the greatest at their position of all time. Are they going to retire immediately? Here's the question, and I asked this when we had this conversation. Do you have a quarterback right now that you feel very comfortable with? Do you have a center right now that you feel very comfortable with, to which you can have the conversation with Maurkice Pouncey and Ben Roethlisberger and say, look, we would never do this to you publicly because that's throwing someone under the bus. There's no way we're gonna do that. Publicly, they're going to say the right things and say, you know, these two guys, they can play this game at a high level. These two guys can do their thing. Privately, if Tomlin and the organization has that conversation and says, look, you know, we want you guys to step out, step away. We want to move into another direction. You know, we're not kicking you out, but we want you guys to step away because we want to get younger. We want to get into a better position, and you do so tactfully. Are you prepared for that conversation right now, Emmanuel? Do you have a center and a quarterback?
Because the simple reason that conversation was said about Troy Polamalu. That conversation was said about Hines Ward, and I'll tell anybody, Hines Ward had at least another 1 or 2 years left, but he wouldn't be the Hines Ward that he was, but he still could have played football for 2 years. But you remember him crying, saying, "Well, listen, if I can't play for Pittsburgh, I ain't playing no more." You remember Troy crying, say, "Listen, you know, Troy might have had 1 or 2 years. You know, he could have got another contract. You know, but the bottom line is this: I can go to the Eastwood Mall, I can go to the Southern Park Mall, and I can find somebody to throw 4 freaking interceptions. Now, center might be harder, but the bottom line is you can't think about Ben Roethlisberger without thinking about interceptions. And it was just so sad when he tried to scramble and threw that interception. He just, oh man! And let me tell you something too, Ron. If a team loses 5 out of the first 6 games they play in the season, you think that coach or somebody gonna get fired?
It depends on what is.
Now, Tomlin's not getting fired.
It depends
Tomlin's not getting fired.
Yeah, it
but what I'm
depends on
saying
his
is
reputation.
We lost 5 of our last 6 games.
Yeah.
Tomlin's not going anywhere.
No.
We have to make changes. If you keep doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result, well, you must believe in Trump then. I'm sorry. I should have said that. What I'm saying is that.
Well, actually, on a related note, that's the definition of insanity. Is doing the same thing over and over and over and over and over again and expecting a different result. It is the very definition of insanity. So, you know, look, I mean, obviously, if the Steelers believe, and they'll say this privately, they'll never say this publicly because the organization is too good of an organization. They're a first-class organization. They're not going to throw any of their players under the bus. But if they believe privately that Ben and Maurkice and some of the guys that are old have to be let go, or they're going to nudge them out of the nest, then they'll do that, and that'll be the end of it.
But you got to understand one thing: if Ben is on the roster, right, when the roster comes down, he gets a $15 million payment. And then if he's on the roster and we cut him, I think the hit is like $42 million. If we sign him, it's like $32 million plus the $15 million. He ain't worth it, man. Are you telling me he's worth it?
Well, no, but by the same token, here's where the Steelers are caught between a rock and a hard place. Don't tell me Mason Rudolph is the answer, because we saw Mason Rudolph play, and you guys went 8-8. Don't tell me that he's the answer.
Well, we watched Ben play, and we just lost 5 out of 6.
Yeah, but your team was 11-0 prior to them taking a crap on themselves.
Well, like they said yesterday, because you know, out of the first 5 games, Collins had 100 yards 3 times in the first 5 games.
Well, that's another.
Ben threw for 501 yards yesterday. If you looked at those stats, you would think that man had a great game.
Yeah, except for the fact that he only averaged under 8 yards per attempt because he threw the ball so many times.
And this was the final. This was the final straw for me. You have to be hungry to play in the NFL. You have to believe that football is yours. And you've got to think, first of all, they should have kicked the ball out the end zone. Second of all, Ben should have been This is not the same Ben that when the great Jerome Bettis fumbled that ball and Ben stopped to tackle him to win the game instead of to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Ben can't do that no more, man. He wouldn't even go down and get the ball.
Let me ask you, and obviously it's not just the quarterback. Your running game sucks, and there's no two ways about that. I thought Benny Snell was going to be a difference maker, and Benny Snell has been I don't want to say a bust, but he's been pedestrian in Pittsburgh. James
I
Conner.
couldn't say about Samuels. I thought Samuels was going to be, but
Yeah.
he's a bust.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
James Conner has been pedestrian mainly because he's been hurt all the time. So, I mean, you guys obviously need a solid running back. If the Steelers were to, in the first round, and obviously it's a late first round, but the good thing for the Pittsburgh Steelers and for teams that are looking for running backs, it's an afterthought in the National Football League. Some teams don't even like drafting running backs in the first round. If the Steelers were to draft a really good running back, I mean a really good running back, is it possible that you get this rookie, this big shot rookie who can play the game and is a solid, durable running back, and you keep Ben and you have this running back who's a difference maker, and now all of a sudden, instead of Ben throwing the ball 40, 50 times a game, now you got someone who can get 4 or 5 yards a carry, and you limit Roethlisberger's throwing because you've got a legitimate home run threat as a running back.
There's only one thing wrong with that. The Cleveland Browns defensive line beat our offensive line up. I don't care. We could have had Earl Campbell back there that might not. I mean, man, they beat us up.
Well,
they were knocking us down, driving us off. My God.
Yeah.
And you look at Cleveland's defensive line. It's not that they're that old. They're going to get better. I mean, Myles Garrett is a beast, and he's going to get better.
Well, here's the problem that nobody has talked about, and it became abundantly apparent toward the tail end of this season. Villanueva is on the backside of his career. David DeCastro, solid player, one of my favorite Steelers, and
good guy,
great guy. He is on the backside of his career. Marquise Pouncey is on the backside of his career. It is not just your quarterback that's on the backside of his career and your running backs that don't have a career, by and large. You have an offensive line, 3/5 of them that I just mentioned are on the backside of their career. There is a lot of change that needs to be taken place with the Steelers, not just as the quarterback. You got to replace 3/5 of your offensive line in the next year or two. You got to get a legitimate running back. You got to get a quarterback to replace an aging Hall of Fame caliber quarterback in Roethlisberger. And, oh, by the way, defensively, you got some solid players there, but you also got some guys that, you know, at least in terms of more depth on defense. The Steelers moving forward, everyone talks about Ben being on his last, this is the last hurrah for Ben. It's not just Ben. That offensive line is on their last hurrah. That's huge, man. That's huge.
This has been a tried and true theory. If you don't have an offensive line, you better get your running quarterback.
That's true. And here's the other thing. You better get that quarterback some life insurance because he's going to need it.
And let's call it like we see it. Now I've seen Josh Allen take some hits and a semi truck hit him. Buffalo has paid their dues, but nothing helped me out when we went down 28-0. Right?
Yeah.
I made a couple phone calls. I called my Notre Dame fans. Right? I'm like, man, how do y'all take this? They say, well, just keep loving your team. So I'm okay.
No, it's all good. I mean, look, you guys are going to look. The beautiful thing about the Steelers, you might take a year or two off where things are 6-10, 7-9. You get back into the swing of things because great teams they reload. They don't rebuild. And the Steelers, the thing that I both love and hate about the Steelers is since 1972 they haven't rebuilt. They've reloaded. Oh, they'll take a year or maybe 2 years to reload, but they're not down for very long. I mean, prior to 1972, and this is where you got to go to the older Steeler fans, the Steeler fans that are in their 70s and 80s that understand prior to 1972, that organization was a steaming pile of garbage, and that it was just something.
I think up to 1968, it was the Browns had won like 5 championships, and the Steelers went to the playoffs one time.
Yeah, and it wasn't a playoff game. I mean, it was a play-in game. It wasn't a playoff game. Yeah, exactly.
So, and one more thing, then I know they're listening to my Warren G. Harding Raiders. They need to understand something. You can't believe the hype. The game ain't over with till the final buzzer. We had Chaney, but we just let him get away.
You had a substantial lead on Chaney with 2 minutes left in the game, and the Cowboys came back.
We was doing raise the roof and all kind of celebrating. It reminded me of that Boardman game when they blocked that extra point and everybody was making snow angels in the snow, and Boardman picked it up and took it in for a touchdown. That guy went to the pros. What's his name again?
The Lindell. Yeah.
Well, no, the guy. Well, I thought it was the guy from Boardman that he went to. He played with Cincinnati. What's his name again? Billy.
Oh no, that was Fitch. Billy Price.
Yeah. Okay. Well. The bottom line is this, right? You have to play to the whistle, and a prime example was yesterday. Cleveland played to the whistle, and we didn't, and they beat us. They kicked out. Listen, I will admit it, man. They're a better team right now.
Yeah, they are. So it
is what it is.
And listen, depending on what the Steelers do in the off season, this might be a reoccurring theme in 2021. And the sad thing is, Baltimore's not going anywhere. Oh my God, you want to talk about someone? Let me tell you something about part of me. And I hate to admit this because, you know me well enough to know that I root for the Browns unless they play my Bills.
Yeah, you Bills, yeah.
Part of me wanted the Steelers to win on Sunday because I wanted Baltimore and Kansas City to absolutely destroy each other while the Bills are playing the Steelers. And I get this text from my cousin, who's an even bigger Bills fan than I am, mainly because, he lived 5 minutes from the stadium and he and I are the same age.
So he's original Mafia. Okay.
Well, here's the cool thing. He went to Orchard Park High School, and once a year they used to play games at Bills Stadium. They would play a game on that stadium because they had a deal with the Buffalo Bills. So he played 2 or 3 games on that field, and he texted me last night as the Steelers were imploding. And he said, this is why I wanted the Steelers and not the winner of Titans-Ravens. This is why I wanted the Steelers because, they were a better matchup for the Bills. Now, there are no guarantees in life, but clearly with Cleveland winning, Buffalo's road just got a whole lot more dangerous because Baltimore, you thought I was nervous for Indianapolis? Baltimore is making me really, really uptight. This is going to be a damn good game on Saturday night in Buffalo. It will be.
Well, all I know is that Baltimore looked pretty doggone good.
Oh man!
And I thought Tennessee was going to get him because they got him before, but Baltimore just had too much. And and then let me ask you a question: what's the deal? Was that by design with all those runs that Josh Allen did?
Yeah, because Buffalo doesn't have a running back, and if I were Buffalo. The first thing we do after the season is over is put a call into Cleveland and say, "Here's a first-round draft pick. Give me Nick Chubb."
No, they ain't gonna get rid of Chubb.
Well, of course they're not. But I mean, a person can dream, for God's sake.
Yeah. So what do you think? Well, yeah, you and Jennifer Gardner. But
there you go.
You think Cincinnati's gonna be any good? You think Burrows can come back?
I think he will, and
that's a tough division, man.
It's going to be a tough division. Well, here's an interesting thing with the AFC North, and I saw this statistic and I couldn't believe what I was seeing. The AFC North played the AFC South this year where Pittsburgh played, the Jacksonville, Indianapolis, Texas, and Tennessee. All 4 of the AFC North teams played the AFC South teams. So there were 16 regular season games played between the AFC North and the AFC South. Do you care to guess how many wins the AFC North had in their 16 games against the AFC South?
At least 10.
They had 14.
Yeah, I know at least 10.
Yeah, there were 2 losses. It was Tennessee beat Baltimore, which turned out to Baltimore returned the favor, and Houston beat Cincinnati. That's it. I mean, and yesterday there was an AFC North versus AFC South playoff battle. 17 games these 2 divisions played each other, and the AFC North beat them 15 out of 17 times. That division is going to be crazy good when Cincinnati gets good.
Well, I don't know. Like I said, we took that behind whooping like a man. Who you picking tonight? Ohio State or Alabama?
I'm more interested in how many points are going to be scored. I think both teams are going to be in the 40s. I think the scoreboard operator might blow a fuse by the time the game's over.
Yeah, I want all your listeners to know I wasn't ducking stepping up after this behind whooping, but Tony started some trouble there yesterday. I had to wait till my phone was charged up. Okay, my brother. All I got to say is, we are the Pittsburgh Steelers, and go Buckeyes, man. Love you, man.
All right, see you. 330-886-0813. The MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning Hotline open for business. Hey, do you care to find out the last time Baker Mayfield played a football game against Patrick Mahomes? Oh, I got numbers. You're going to be blown away by these numbers. They go back to college when these 2 teams played each other. Last time these 2 teams played each other, a whale of a game broke out in Lubbock, Texas. We'll give you the numbers of these 2 guys. The last time they played each other in football, Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes. We'll get you those numbers in a bit. It's a Monday edition of Running Point presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Back in a bit.
Hi, this is Tommy Clem, owner of WRS Insurance Solutions, reminding you that it is open enrollment for Medicare.
Now through December 7th, those who qualify can visit our local independent agency by calling us at 330-953-3722 or visiting us at wrsinsurancesolutions.com to learn more.
Good luck to all the student athletes in the Valley.
Attention all football fans. If you can't see your team play, come and dine with us and watch it live at Boardman, Canfield, or Cortland. Or staying at home, we'll deliver right to your door. That's Coca's Pizza. We serve it hot.
2020 will be a season like we've never seen before, but 21 Sports and YSN will be there for every key moment. The plays, the players, and the stories that will headline this season. Delivered by 21 Sports and YSN.
Planning a project around your home or rental property? Trust the electrical service to the local experts with 62 years of serving the Mahoning Valley. Joe Dickey Electric is your local go-to source for responsive, reliable residential electrical work. From everyday maintenance and repairs to new installations, electrical upgrades, and safety inspections, no job is too big or too small. Call Joe Dickey Electric today, 800-549-3976, or visit DickeyElectric.com. That's DickeyElectric.com.
Myers Family Insurance knows the importance of a great team.
Our team continues to grow to help you with your Medicare and retirement needs.
The annual election period is here, so it's all hands on deck to make sure your plans still meet your needs for 2020.
Call us today.
You may find yourself in some difficulty this winter. Don't get whacked by high heating bills. Call Michael at MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning. Michael is a trusted friend who will be able to help you with many things, like getting a 95% high-efficiency furnace this winter from Rude. Michael relies on Rude, so should you. Call MP Vivo Heating and Air Conditioning for a free estimate, 330-259-0486, and take care of your heating and air situation.
I
I went to Greenwood Chevrolet because
I was really interested in looking at the tracks.
Because I wanted my dream truck.
Because I've been going there for 20 years.
I'm really happy that I went
to Greenwood Chevrolet.
Because they really went
the extra mile for me.
Now we're going the extra mile for you, only at Greenwood Chevrolet.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points on ysnlive.com. All right, so as promised, we go back to, I don't know, about 4 years. 4 years and change. The last time Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes squared off against each other was the epic, and I do mean epic, defense optional Big 12 game in Lubbock, Texas, between the Oklahoma Sooners and the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Oklahoma beat Texas Tech that day in Lubbock 66-59. Baker Mayfield was 27 of 36 for 545 yards, 7 touchdown passes. Not to be outdone, Patrick Mahomes in a losing effort and oh, by the way, you score 59 points and your team loses. I'm probably having a conversation with the defense. I digress. Patrick Mahomes, 52 out of 88, 734 yards passing, 5 touchdown passes. Now, by the way, 88 attempts, 734 yards passing. You're going slightly over 8 yards per attempted pass, which is pretty good. Baker Mayfield was well over 10 yards per attempted pass. Actually, he was 15 yards. He was slightly over 15 yards per attempted pass. Mahomes was over 8 yards per attempted pass. Mayfield was way better than Mahomes that day. Mahomes threw for damn near 200 more yards, but he also threw the ball 52 more times than Mayfield did. Mayfield had 7 touchdown passes and 545 yards passing. Oklahoma won the game 66-59. That was the last time that these two teams played each other. Look, I bring this up because, clearly Mahomes is the best quarterback left in the AFC divisional playoffs. He is. I mean, if you were to rank the 4 quarterbacks right now, you would have Mahomes clearly at number 1. And then you would make the argument, okay, who's number 2, who's number 3, who's number 4? Depending on how you look at stuff, and again, this is going to be in the interpretation of the fan base. Obviously the Browns fan base thinks that Mayfield's the best quarterback drafted in 2018. The Ravens fan base will say, no, we have the best quarterback drafted in the class of 2018. The Bills fan base will go, no, we have the best quarterback in the class of 2018. Here's the beautiful thing about this. Lamar Jackson, Josh Allen, and Baker Mayfield all drafted in the class of 2018. Lamar Jackson got the first shot in the playoffs, rookie year. Didn't get it done. 2019, he got his second bite at the apple. Josh Allen got his first bite in the apple. Neither one of them won. 2020, Lamar Jackson erases his playoff reputation, or at least did a pretty nice job of erasing his playoff reputation of, okay, I can't be a good quarterback when my team is down by double digits. I fold up like a cheap suit. That kind of went out the window. Tennessee had a double-digit lead on Baltimore, and Baltimore came back and really looked good in their victory over Tennessee. And Lamar Jackson threw the ball downfield, which fantastic. He showed a lot of people that he is now ready to make the argument of being the best quarterback out of this class of 2018. Baker Mayfield, through no fault of his own, he took a gigantic step backwards in year number 2, but truth be told, this is, the third coach that Mayfield has in his 3 years in the NFL, and he's finally got some stability with the coaching staff and whatnot, and the first half of the year, ever since the Game 7 or Game 8, man, this guy has balled out. He's playing some great football. And he's into the playoffs. And he managed the game. You didn't turn the ball over. Now, to the offensive line's credit, they did a great job protecting him. And this was without their gun, Bitonio. Bitonio is their best offensive lineman. With all due respect to Wyatt Teller, and with all due respect to the other members of this offensive line, Bitonio is the guy. He's the straw that stirs the drink on the offensive line. He's out. And, oh, by the way, his backup is out. And a guy that Cleveland literally signed off the practice squad of the New York Jets, he gets 15, 20 snaps yesterday, and he did a great job. Mayfield is playing some really good ball. And then you go into Josh Allen. And Josh Allen, terrible rookie year. Second year, good improvement, still low on the completion percentage thing, but you saw some pretty decent signs. Third year, unbelievable step into where arguably he's one of the 3 or 4 best quarterbacks, at least for this year, in the 2020 campaign. He has taken a gigantic step forward. Oh, dear God, is the AFC playoffs going to be fun. This is going to be a blast. I mean, look, as a Bills fan, obviously, I'm hoping for Bills-Browns AFC title game, Orchard Park, New York. Let's have fun. But this is going to be a blast because all 4 of these quarterbacks in the AFC, and this is not just 2020. Knock on wood, Kansas City's already locked up Mahomes for the next 10 years. Knock on wood if you're a Bills fan or a Browns fan or a Ravens fan. You're locking up these franchise quarterbacks because they are now officially franchise quarterbacks. They have now won a playoff game. In Buffalo's case, they've won a division. Now, Baltimore did win a division last year, but they didn't get a playoff game. All 3 of these guys are now franchise quarterbacks because they have now won a playoff game. They're in that territory. They're officially franchise quarterbacks. And if you're Cleveland, if you're Baltimore, if you're Buffalo, you are getting Allen, Baker Mayfield, and Lamar Jackson. You are getting these 3 guys signed to long-term deals, and you're going to have a blast for the next 8 to 10 years watching these 3 teams along with Kansas City. And let's face it, even though Mahomes is technically class of 2017, he didn't start playing football till 2018. So even though he's not a member of draft class 2018, he's a member of the I've been playing since 2018. All 4 of these guys are entering their prime at the exact same time. All 4 of these guys, 25 years of age or younger. The AFC is going to be a bitch to deal with. And then you look over at the NFC. Now, with all due respect to the Rams, Jared Goff, 26 years of age, he's not in this conversation. Aaron Rodgers, tail end of a brilliant career. He's got more years left than Breeze and Brady, but his better years are behind him. He's on the tail end of a brilliant Hall of Fame career. Tom Brady, one can argue he's the GOAT. I don't think he is, but you can make an argument that he is based on the fact that he's won 6 Super Bowl titles, or at least his team has won 6 Super Bowl titles. You can make the argument that he is the greatest of all time. He's certainly top 5. No 2 ways about that. He's a Hall of Famer. Drew Brees is a Hall of Famer. Aaron Rodgers is a Hall of Famer. These three guys combined might have 1 year left each. Matter of fact, if Brees loses to Brady, which is a good possibility on Sunday, you could be writing the career obituary of Drew Brees. Wouldn't surprise me if Drew Brees retires if he loses to the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. He's got a job waiting for him in one of the networks. Rodgers is probably done in about 2 or 3 years. Maybe 3. Probably closer to 2. He's probably the only quarterback that has more than 1 year left. Brady's done after next year. He will be. He'll be done after next year. You're talking about the old guard in the NFC. And again, if Los Angeles loses to Green Bay at Lambeau, and that's not a given, especially if Aaron Donald is healthy, and we'll see if he is. He got dinged up a little bit in their playoff victory over Seattle, but I'll say it again. I've seen a lot of football. I've been a fan of this game for 50 years. Aaron Donald is the best defensive tackle I have ever seen. And I have seen Joe Green. I have seen Warren Sapp. Aaron Donald is better than both of those guys. He is that good. If Aaron Donald is healthy, Green Bay might have some problems because this guy, the only guy that has ever taken a game over by himself on defense in all the years that I've ever watched a game, the only guy that's ever been capable of doing that, Lawrence Taylor. I'm not ready to say Aaron Donald is as great a player as Lawrence Taylor, but he's in the ballpark. He is in the ballpark. No question about that. He's on that. He's in that rarefied air. I'm not quite sure if he's at that level, but he's in the ballpark. We'll put it that way. If Green Bay gets past LA, we're now guaranteed to see one of the old guard quarterbacks lead his team in the Super Bowl against one of these young bucks. And if it's Mahomes, okay, well, Mahomes has been there, done that. He's got a Super Bowl ring. If it's one of these other three guys, doesn't matter. It's going to be old guard, guy of the future versus guy who would love to have a longer future but doesn't. This is going to be an amazing, amazing postseason. Oh, an amazing postseason. The NFL could not have scripted this any better. Could not have come out any better for the National Football League. We'll take a final timeout, put the wraps on this Monday edition of Running Point, presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Stick around.
Baird Brothers remains your source for fine hardwood products. For the time being, we're open for customer pickup only on weekdays, 9 a.m. to 4 p.m., and Saturday from 9 a.m. till noon. Place your order online at BairdBrothers.com. Baird Brothers, for the place you love.
Quality, customer service, and integrity. Those are the 4 words that have driven our success since 1957 at Joe Dickey Electric.
Joe Dickey Electric is one Mahoning Valley landmark business that stays current with the requirements of our customers. Family owned and managed, we are an electrical contractor and energy solutions provider. Every member of our team adds to his or her skill set through ongoing training. Residential, commercial, industrial, automotive, and more. We keep ahead of the needs of our customers with a fleet of more than 50 vehicles and 24/7 emergency service, so you're never left in the dark.
The 4M Company, being an architect and construction manager for over 40 years, has had the opportunity to use many different electrical businesses for our projects. The depth, quality, and knowledge and attention to detail displayed by Dickey Electric makes them stand out above all the rest.
For state-of-the-art expertise and a timeless commitment to our customers, contact Joe Dickey Electric. We are everything electrical.
Armstrong Local Programming has always delivered an exclusive and unique perspective on the very best events your region offers. High school sports, community events, parades, all your favorite shows from Armstrong are now calling the Neighborhood Channel their home.
Watch Out and About, Locally Speaking, and many other great local shows right here on the Armstrong Neighborhood Channel.
Find out everything that the Neighborhood Channel has to offer at ArmstrongNeighborhood.com. Spirit, town pride, local communities. Welcome to the neighborhood.
Right now is a great time to get more for your trade-in at Tri-State Ford and drive home in a new or pre-owned vehicle. Choose from our great selection of new Ford models or pre-owned vehicles. Plus, get the Tri-State Ford Advantage, including a 10-year, 200,000-mile warranty and more. At Tri-State Ford, we'll pay you top dollar for your trade, but you don't have to purchase one of ours to sell us yours.
Customer focus, community driven. Tri-State Ford East Liverpool or visit tristateford.net.
Welcome back to a Monday edition of Running Points presented by Greenwood Chevrolet on Mahoning Avenue in Austintown. Coming up later tonight on the network, plenty of high school basketball games on the girls' side of things. Larry Scragg and I will greet you from Rebel Gym somewhere around 7 o'clock tonight. The Lady Rebels will be taking on the Liberty Leopards in an MVAC gray tier game. Should be a good game. Liberty's off to a fantastic start since they came back to playing basketball, I want to say a couple weeks ago. They're playing some good basketball, so it'll be a very entertaining game between Crestview and Liberty. We're going to be really busy in Rebels Gym all week. You got the girls game Monday. The boys are playing Liberty on Tuesday. The girls are playing Brookfield on Thursday. Boys are playing Brookfield on Friday. And the girls are playing Western Reserve on Saturday. So be very, very busy, Larry Scragg and I. That'll do it for the Monday edition of Running Points. Many, many thanks to our phone callers. Many thanks to Dana Balish from TV21. We will talk to you tomorrow, noon to 3. National championship game tonight. I still think, Alabama's an 8.5-point favorite. I still think Alabama wins this game. I think a lot of points are going to be scored. Both teams are going to be in the 40s. I think I'm going to go 49-43 Alabama over Ohio State in the national title game. But I think it's going to be an entertaining game. But having said that, after what the Browns did last night, maybe Ohio does get the daily double. And let's just say this. If Ohio State wins tonight, forget about the rest of 2021. It goes down as one of the coolest years ever for the Ohio State/Cleveland Browns fan. 2021 goes down in history as the greatest year, or at least the early part of it goes down as the greatest year in the history of years. All right, that'll do it for the show. Many, many thanks to the callers. We'll do it tomorrow noon.